does this particular case raise questions in the event when there are certain principles well settled? One, the pre-poll alliance is most sacrosanct, and only principal defection is allowed, unprincipled defections are not allowed. Second, the floor test is the ultimate test in a democracy, and Uddhav Thackeray resigned and did not face the floor test. And thirdly, also Nabam Rebia as of now holds the ground, because deputy speaker or the speaker cannot move forward if his removal notice is there in the matter of disqualification of MLAs. So in my opinion, the floor test is the ultimate test, and Uddhav Thackeray ran away from that. And the pre-poll alliance is most sacrosanct, and post-poll alliance is always colored, it is opportunistic. And therefore, today, let us see how the Supreme Court handles it. Obviously, Uddhav Thackeray camp and Kapil Sibal would always say that it's a colored exercise of power, whether the governor can call Eknath Shinde or not, or Uddhav Thackeray should have faced the floor test or not. These are the issues. But whether they arise in this particular case,
this is a very important point when you say, Mr. Deshratan Nigam, that this is not going to only, and Samiksha, this is not going to only have an impact on the politics of Maharashtra, but this is also going to set a precedent for all the other political parties, and specifically to the smaller states where we see such kind of shifts between the politicians and such kind of rifts of division between the political parties. So this will also set precedent for not only Eknath Shinde and then Shiv Sena, that is the Uddhav Thackeray faction, but also for certain other political parties and also for the future. I am sure that at least half a dozen very important politicians across the country, Samiksha and Mr. Deshratan Nigam, are going to have their eyes locked on this judgment. Because at least on 4 incidents, as a reporter, I am aware that they are looking to shift. But only and only because of the legality of the matter, they have been waiting.
Is the question to me?
Sir.
Yeah. Let me tell you, as you said and rightly pointed out, that it will have a national impact, and it may solve certain tricky situations. But the tricky situations, courts do not apply for futuristic situations. Courts only apply if the situation has arisen as of now. There are various questions which has arisen, but in the event when the Uddhav Thackeray has resigned, then the floor test becomes the ultimate test, whoever has been called by the governor to prove its majority. Now, another question is very important out here. This was an inter se dispute and dissent within a particular party. Should the writ petition be entertained by the court? Because then the election commission is the person to actually decide which is the real Shiv Sena. So inter se disputes within a party cannot be entertained by the court. Not in the writ petition, certainly. They may go in a civil suit in a court, but not in a writ petition. That's a very important point that has also risen. So election commission's role becomes very important. That issue has also been framed by the previous bench, 3 judges bench. One of the 10 questions is that also. So there are issues, but whether this situation demands for that particular action or not is a very important question, because courts should not enter into an arena in futuristic sense. They must address the issue at point, especially in view when the Uddhav Thackeray resigned and did not face the floor test, where floor test in a democracy is the ultimate test for a recognition of the government.
No. Politically speaking, that's absolutely correct, and the people of this country also understand. But then the Uddhav Thackeray faction is saying that they have basically sought reconsideration of the Nabam Rebia. Eknath Shinde camp had basically opposed it. But when it comes down to this, Samiksha, and my camera person is just setting the frame better, but at this point of time, we have our presence on ground as well. Our colleagues Akhilesh and Sambhav are also on ground right outside the Supreme Court and one inside. So we will get the latest input from there as well. But what is happening is that this will have a direct impact. And why am I saying so? Because all the other regional political parties, there has been a weight of a result of this. Because at least in 4 major states, and out of which Mr. Deshratan Nigam also have certain specific indication, because he mentioned Northeast. So there is a weight of this judgment, because at least there is going to be a parallel division, a vertical division, beg your pardon, a vertical division in at least 2 states. but they have basically awaited this judgment. And when it comes down to the morality of the matter, sir, when you say that no, when the people vote, that is yes, that is there, but all these politicians, irrespective party lines, Samiksha, they all and only dread what happens legally, and that's why I am being told, at least in 2 particular states, there is going to be a direct impact of it. Back to you in the studio, Samiksha.
All right, Ishwara, thank you for for all of the insights that you're sharing with us. But I would want another question answer from Deshratan. Sir, if you can help us understand the kind of ramifications this verdict is going to have, because we understand this could lead to defections also, not just from the Uddhav faction, if it is, of course, not in favor of Uddhav faction, but also from the other faction as well.
Well, Samiksha, in fact, if today what is the court going to do is very important, that they may refer Rabia's case to a larger bench, a 7 judges bench. So that issue cannot be decided today, or they may reject that because and uphold Rabia's case. Once they reject Rabia's case, they have to give cogent reasons that there are clear, cogent and apparent errors in the Nabam Rabia's case, which is very important because that deals with a specific situation where the speaker cannot proceed with the disqualification notices of MLAs if notice for his own removal is pending. So if they reject Rabia's case, then they have to refer it to larger bench of 7 judges that will decide. So that issue cannot be decided today. It can only be decided if they uphold the Rabia's case. Now, since the issue will not be able to be decided today, then I think Rabia's case, either they will have to constitute a larger bench of 7 judges and then stay Rabia's case, and then they will proceed. So today, I don't think they'll be able to reject the Rabia's case. They can only constitute. And once that 7 judges bench, constitution bench decides, then only the Rabia's case can be, set aside. And yes, obviously, the reference here would be to larger. And since there are other issues also involved, I think they all are interrelated. So, in my opinion, they may decide 1 or 2 issues or may entirely refer everything to the 7 judges bench.
You speaking to us, so Deshratan Nigam, advocate Supreme Court, giving us his perspective as a crucial hearing there happening as we speak. Shinde camp against a larger bench, whereas the Thackeray faction, which is called for a larger bench in this case. The visuals there on your screens right now, live streaming from the Supreme Court. As we speak, now this is...
Justice Deepak Mishra, as the learned Chief Justices then were, and by Justice Madan B. Lokur. The opinions of Justice J.S. Kehar and Justice Deepak Mishra hold that the Speaker should desist from considering a petition for disqualification under the 10th schedule to the Constitution when a notice indicating an intent to remove him has been moved. This principle is formulated in the following observation in the decision of Justice J.S. Kehar, para 194. We hereby hold that it would be constitutionally impermissible for a Speaker to adjudicate upon the disqualifications petitions under the 10th schedule while a notice of resolution for his own removal from the office of Speaker is pending. A similar view has been expressed by Justice Deepak Mishra in the following extract from para 238. When there is an expression of intention to move the resolution to remove him, it is requisite that he should stand the test and then proceed. That is the intendment of Article 179C, and the said interpretation serves a litmus test of sustained democracy founded on rule of law. And the founding fathers had so intended, and the constitutional value, trust and morality unequivocally so suggest. It would be an anathema to the concept of constitutional adjudication if the Speaker is allowed to initiate proceeding under the 10th schedule of the Constitution after intention to remove him from his office is moved. However, Justice Madan B. Lokur in the course of his judgment held that, para 401, in the view that I have taken, I am of the opinion that the view expressed by my learned brothers relating to the power or propriety of the Speaker taking a decision on the 10th schedule of the Constitution with regard to the 14 members of the Legislative Assembly does not at all arise in these appeals. The issue of whether a reference to a bench of 7 judges should be made cannot be considered in the abstract, isolated or divorced from the facts of the case. Whether the above principle which has been formulated in Nabam Rebia has an impact upon the factual position in the present case needs deliberation. In the above backdrop, the issue whether a reference of the decision in Nabam Rebia to a larger bench is warranted would be determined together with the merits of the case. Consequently, the batch of cases is set down for hearing on merits on Tuesday, 21 February 2023 at 10:30 a.m.
Viewers, what's happening in the Supreme Court as we are speaking? First, I'll tell you there are all the people are already standing in the Supreme Court for this historic verdict. We can see senior advocate Mahesh Jethmalani, who appeared for the Shinde camp. Inside the courtroom, we see Tushar Mehta, Solicitor General of India, who presented and was present in there. We see Maninder Singh, who's also standing there. For the other side, the Uddhav Sena side, we can see Kapil Sibal and Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, who are standing there. Now, let me tell you, already the breaking news that's coming in from the Supreme Court, we're going to put this out for you. Viewers. The bench has given its judgment and the bench has got up. The bench has today in the Maharashtra crisis case clearly given out the judgment. We're saying the issue whether Nabam Rebia requires reference would be considered within the merits of the case. Consequently, the hearing on the merits of the case will be on Tuesday at 10:30 a.m., which means the issue of Nabam Rebia reference will be considered with merits of the case. They've kept the issue open and the Supreme Court has declined referring the matter to the seven judge bench for now. The Supreme Court will hear the matter next on Tuesday. You can see what a huge political issue this was, as we can see all the counsel standing in the top court. Even as I'm speaking, I can see visuals of the Uddhav camp. That's Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, senior advocate, Kapil Sibal next to him, along with Amit and Thomas, other lawyers whom I can see present in the courtroom. The court has gotten up. And the Supreme Court has therefore said the Nabam Rebia reference will be considered with merits of the case. Viewers, let me take you out of the technicalities of all that we are talking and take you to what really I beg your sorry for that. What the case is all about. This is a plea that was moved by Uddhav Thackeray's faction of the Shiv Sena that wanted to refer the 5-judge decision in the case that's called Nabam Rebia. Nabam Rebia is the case name. It was in 2016. They wanted this to be heard by a 7-judge bench, which means they want more people to decide this political legal issue. Now, what really happened? The Thackeray faction, whom we can see the pictures on the screen very clearly, which is Kapil Sibal, Dr. Singhvi, spoke in the camp. What did they say for this camp in the Supreme Court? They said the judgment restricted the powers of the speaker to examine disqualification petitions if a resolution for his removal was pending. Let me take our viewers back to when the Maharashtra crisis really happened. At that time, the bench had asked, there was a 10th schedule that was under the scanner. We remember there were disqualification petitions pending at that time before the speaker. Even as they were pending, there was also a petition for the removal of the speaker themselves when the Maharashtra crisis was on. It seems very technical, but it's a very simple issue. The question was whether a speaker, when his own prima facie merits were being questioned, could pass a resolution to removal or disqualification of certain MLAs. Now the Thackeray faction had contended the judgment restricted the power of the speaker to examine the disqualification petition because they said there's a resolution for his own removal pending and therefore it could be misused by a political party. The consequent disqualification can be avoided by disabling the speaker from proceedings with disqualification. Now the Supreme Court, let's tell you the breaking news coming in, has said this particular issue will be heard on merits. They will hear it on Tuesday. The 5-judge bench sat today and gave out its order Chief Justice of India, Justice Chandrachud, gave this particular short order, saying that they will hear it in detail after they heard a host of counsels from Thackeray faction that were led by Kapil Sibal, and Eknath Shinde's group was being represented by Hari Salve. The bench also observed, we have seen how vexed the Nabam Rebia can be. The judgment has laid down a principle. Before we decide to enter upon this, we need to be very sure it arises in this case. The bench comprised of Justice Shah, Justice Kohli, Justice Krishna Murari, Justice Narasimha. They pointed out in the instant case the resolution against the speaker was not tested in the House. The bench had orally given out certain details about what needs to be done. I also want to tell our viewers, as I'm trying to see what really happened inside the courtroom, rival factions in the case in the state of Maharashtra had moved to Supreme Court. The Shiv Sena faction was led by Uddhav Thackeray, and the Eknath Shinde Shiv Sena faction led by Uddhav Thackeray was represented by Kapil Sibal, Dr. Singhvi, and Eknath Shinde camp was led by top counsels Mr. Hari Salve, Maninder Singh, Mahesh Jethmalani. We also saw the centre making issues here. During the hearing, the court had questioned and spoken about the powers of the speaker. So viewers, why this case is also attracting attention is twofold. One, it's a political issue arising for the state of Maharashtra. More importantly, it's a constitutional issue that needs to be decided on the powers of the speaker under the 10th schedule. The 10th schedule is a schedule in the constitution that deals with defection law. So one needs to really understand what the powers of the speaker here are. In fact, in that sense, I just want to go across to an observation that was also made by the Supreme Court when the Supreme Court said the speaker created, in our case, what happens is the speaker created problems for himself, maybe due to political exigency. He said on 25th time is given. On 26th, the Supreme Court extended it to 12 July. Meanwhile, trust vote happened and with Uddhav Thackeray. So what could have happened? The party was never tested. So he's talking about what really was happening. We saw the advocates who appeared in the courtroom. And there was a question about the Nabam Rebia judgment. The Uddhav Thackeray faction urged the court to interpret the 10th schedule of the constitution in a way that it cannot be used to topple governments. And the importance of this case really lies in trying to understand what needs to happen when there's defection, what needs to happen when the speaker's role is under the scanner, and how the court has to look at it. In fact, one of the arguments that was also made was looking at earlier cases in which this has happened. But the genesis of this entire case is the split in the Shiv Sena political party. It was divided into two factions. We all remember what happened. One was the faction by Uddhav Thackeray and the other one was led by Eknath Shinde. They went on, Eknath Shinde, of course, as we all know, is the Chief Minister of Maharashtra. He went on to replace Uddhav as Maharashtra's Chief Minister after the split in Shiv Sena. Now, what happened? The Supreme Court was called to consider what is the main issue here that was being considered politically, whether rebel members should be disqualified. On 27th of June 2022, the court had granted interim relief to Shinde and his camp by extending the time to file responses to the notices. Let me, as I'm continuing to speak, go across to Deshratan Nigam, who's joining us and was with us earlier in the morning. Deshratan Nigam, the court has declined for this matter to be referred to a larger bench, but they're going to hear it. What is the political significance of this, constitutionally speaking, sir?
The political significance is that Nabam Rabia's principal stay as of now, because it has not been referred to a larger bench, and the Kapil Sibbal's and Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi's arguments have been rejected, very clearly rejected, because they wanted it the referral to the larger bench. Now, what Nabam Rabia's case says, it says a speaker cannot proceed with the disqualification notices of the MLAs if his own removal notice is pending. Therefore, if he exercises that, the entire exercise would be biased and a colorable exercise of power. So that Supreme Court has upheld, and therefore they will hear in the light of Nabam Rebia case on merits whether the facts of the present dispute which is pending before the Supreme Court between the two factions of Uddhav Thackeray will be seen in the light of Nabam Rebia's case. Now, another very important issue arises, as I had said in the beginning, that word split has been omitted in the para 3 of the 10th schedule. In a party, if there is a split in a party, that defense is not available against disqualification proceedings. So word split has been omitted out there, and if there is a split, whether the writ petitions under 226 or Article 32 would lie in the Supreme Court or the High Court or not, that's also a very, very important issue, because then it's an inter se dispute within a party where the Election Commission has to look into it, or you go under a civil suit in a court of law, appropriate court of law. So that issue will also be discussed probably when the courts sit down to hear this matter. So it will have ramifications, but the principle of Nabam Rebia has been upheld, that a speaker cannot, proceed in a circumstances which has been named therein.
So I just want to ask you one more question. Deshratan Nigam, I'll request you to stay with us. Very interesting insight into the judgment. Viewers, we're going to slip into a break, but on the other side, we get you details. A big blow coming in for the Uddhav faction, who wanted this case to be given or referred to a 7-judge bench, which for now has not happened, is the top focus. We'll come back with more understanding of the consequences of today's judgment from the top court.
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है। ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था, 2.5 people, and I was complete one of them.
अच्छा सर।
जो भी इवेंचुअलिटीज हो सकती थी, वो तमाम कॉन्टीजेंसीज को कैटर किया गया था, उनके बारे में प्लानिंग की गई थी, तैयारी की गई थी। आपको नहीं मालूम था, पाकिस्तान को नहीं मालूम था, किसी को नहीं मालूम था क्या होने वाला है। सीक्रेसी को मेंटेन रखते हुए कैसे इस पूरे चीज की तैयारी की गई और किसी को पता भी नहीं चला कि ये कदम गवर्नमेंट उठाने वाली है।
कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए, आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर GOC 15 कोर? हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए, और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसे वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019, जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार के। उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था, और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई। लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बिछ जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया। एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी, हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी।
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है। ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था, 2.5 people, and I was complete one of them.
अच्छा सर।
जो भी इवेंचुअलिटीज हो सकती थी, वो तमाम कॉन्टीजेंसीज को कैटर किया गया था, उनके बारे में प्लानिंग की गई थी, तैयारी की गई थी। आपको नहीं मालूम था, पाकिस्तान को नहीं मालूम था, किसी को नहीं मालूम था क्या होने वाला है। सीक्रेसी को मेंटेन रखते हुए कैसे इस पूरे चीज की तैयारी की गई और किसी को पता भी नहीं चला कि ये कदम गवर्नमेंट उठाने वाली है।
कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए, आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर GOC 15 कोर? हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए, और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसे वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019, जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार के। उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था, और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई। लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बिछ जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया। एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी, हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी।
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है। ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था।
Mr. Stalin, what do you have to say on the recent death of Lance Naik Prabhu? Mr. Stalin, what do you have to say on the recent death of Prabhu? DMK is involved in this. DMK is involved in that.
Well, 48 hours on, the DMK and the Congress remain silent on the chorus for justice for Lance Naik Prabhu.
Adani Enterprises tried to raise funds in the stock market but failed. Adani is accused of stock manipulation and his stock collapsed like a house of cards.
Now, George Soros jumps into the Adani issue, targets the Prime Minister. Is the Adani issue the biggest giveaway yet? It is a setback to the Uddhav camp. The Supreme Court declines referring the matter to a larger bench. Suspected smugglers are abducted, tortured and burnt alive in Haryana. Owaisi alleges cow vigilantism. Not a word on the Ramcharitmanas burning. Samajwadi Party suspends 2 leaders who oppose the SP Maurya. Days after anti-India graffiti on Hindu temple in Mississauga, Canada condemns Hinduphobia. Well, good morning and thank you very much for staying with us on Republic TV. This is live and breaking. In fact, we have now been able to access the FIR copy in the murder case of Lance Nayak Prabhu, and we are given to understand that the Tamil Nadu police has now added a murder charge to the FIR. There are multiple sections that have been slapped against the accused after Republic TV's expose. In fact, let's go across to Prajwal for more details. Prajwal, tell us more about the FIR as well as the fact that finally Section 302 has been added to it.
Absolutely. Now, based on the complaint of the deceased brother Prabhakaran, now there has been non-bailable sections which has been added, because initially it was only attempt to murder and cases were booked under rioting under sections 147 and 148. But now we get to understand that additional sections of 323, 324 and also section 302 has been added, which has been updated in the FIR copy, and section 294B2 has been added. Out of these 7 sections here, we are also looking at 3 non-bailable sections, which is section 302, which is murder, section 307, attempt to murder, and section 324. This is very important here, Nupur, because I was speaking about the weapons, the evidence which has been seized, which has been taken into custody here. So section 324 points out to that, if anybody is causing hurt voluntarily by dangerous weapons or means of it. So the weapons angle has already been mentioned in the case, meaning to say that now the police are going on to build a case here. We're also seeing 147 and 148. 148 has now been added, which is rioting with weapons, and also section 294B has also been added, which is a bailable offense. It won't mean much to the case, but majority of what had to be put in the FIR has finally been done. And we are also seeing that there has been a lot of police activity around the house of Lance Nayak Prabhu here, because now we are seeing that the investigation officers, some of the inspectors from the police station are here. They're going on to collect information as well. And you can look at it right there on our screens that the investigating officer, one of them is here, the SI, who in the first place went on to file this FIR, is also here collecting details. And this started happening since last evening, where we saw that, also officials from the intelligence wing also coming in here to take a report. But what is very surprising here is the fact that what sort of spot inquest has been conducted here, because according to the police records, on the 15th of Feb, the accused was taken into custody, the main accused Chinnasamy that we are speaking about. But after that, till now, it has been over 48 hours, but there has been no spot inquest which has been conducted, meaning to say that the GPS geo coordinates had to be collected, and the police are doing it by themselves. So how will the crime scene be recreated is also one of the questions that needs to be asked over here. And also now momentarily they are speaking to all these residents who could become potential eyewitnesses here, because it is not only the 2 versions of the accused and the victim that has to be taken in this case, but also that of the eyewitnesses too. And eyewitnesses hold the key, as we were earlier saying. So who are these eyewitnesses? What is the sort of background check check that they are going on to do here, and were they a party to it? That is something that needs to be seen here and has to be pointed out, because the people, one thing should be remembered, the people still fear the DMK. They still feel that the DMK cadres might go on and attack them. So what will be the sort of statements that will be coming in, which will be recorded by the police, will also be under a lot of scrutiny.
All right, Prajwal, do stay with us. I think we've also got Aneri joining us live right now from Chennai. Aneri, give us a sense of the political reactions that have been coming. The BJP, of course, has accused the DMK government of laxity.
Well, that's right, Nupur. Well, when we talk about the political reactions, and also at the same time when we talk about the DMK government here in Tamil Nadu, there's no response from the DMK government. Well, not even a single statement coming in from the government, nor the Chief Minister continues to be silent on this whole issue. Whereas we also see that the ally, the Congress party here in Tamil Nadu, has not even issued any sort of statement. No statement coming in from the Congress party. So a complete silence from the ruling government and the Congress party, whereas we see that the BJP has decided that they will continue to protest against the DMK government. And also, not to forget, Nupur, DMK councillor is one of the main accused in this particular case, where we see that the DMK government, despite all of this, has not issued any kind of response on this.
All right, Aneri, stay with us. Let me go back to Prajwal now. Prajwal, we are given to understand that the crime scene is now being recreated. So take us through what's happening even as we speak.
So essentially this is a spot inquest or a spot mahajar which is conducted by the police, recreating the scene of crime as to exactly what happened and how did this happen as well. It will be recreated with both the victim's narration as well as the accused narration as well. But what is very surprising here is the fact that the accused have not still been brought to the spot to recreate the entire scene, whereas the cops are going on to collect information. They essentially collect information. They essentially also collect the statements. If any party were an eyewitness, if they were an eyewitness to the entire crime scene, and the statements of the victims will also be recorded here. So therefore, essentially now we are looking at a spot inquest on our screens, but the accused are missing. The accused are missing here, and they will have to be brought in here, which we get to understand now from the sources that it might happen at the later part of the day, the later stage of the day, after which the charge sheet will be filed. According to the FIR, according to the FIR which we have accessed, where the murder charge has been added and several other non-bailable sections have been added, the FIR mentions that the case is still under investigation. So which part of the case are they investigating, and what are they investigating? And in the charge sheet, what is the sort of evidence that has been seized in the form of weapons, and where were any sort of marks or evidence which was found here on the streets where this particular crime happened? All this will be taken into consideration, even as we are still getting information that this will happen very soon as well, even as the cops go on to get and collect statements and information from the eyewitnesses who are present here.
All right, so as we can see on our screens right now, pictures are coming in from Krishnagiri district, where the police are now investigating. Let's go back across right now to Prajwal, who is bringing us more details on this. Now, Prajwal, many are questioning the delay in action in terms of adding these sections of the IPC really, because, it was only after about 2 days or so that the police did add the murder charge as well as other charges against the accused.
Sir. Absolutely, because it is pretty important to understand that now what happens is that in legal technicalities, the cops are showing that there were legal loopholes in the case already when it was filed. So essentially, on the 14th of Feb, when Lance Nayak Prabhu passed away, then the murder charge had to be added. But this has been done only on the 15th, meaning to say until then it was an attempt to murder, because the victim was alive. This is the technicalities which the SP had also mentioned now. So this is where they are hiding. But now section 302 has already been added. That is one of the most important things that has to be seen. We are also seeing section 323 and 324 that has been added. Section 324 being added to this case will provide an edge to the victim's family, and they can go on to fight their case in the court, because it also mentions about those voluntarily causing hurt by the perpetrators using weapons. So the word weapon is mentioned, meaning to say that the cops have taken this evidence into account. The iron rods, the the wooden clubs and wooden logs, and also the sickles that were used to hit out at Lance Nayak Prabhu's family members as well. So this is something which will be very important, very crucial for the case, and we can get to understand that this will only strengthen the case further after only rioting and attempt to murder was added in the initial FIR which was filed by the police.
All right, Prajwal, of course, is continuing to bring us the latest on this. So as Prajwal is pointing out, there is a reconstruction that is happening. Now, even as all of this happens, of course, the DMK and Stalin, who also happens to be the Home Minister of Tamil Nadu, has refused so far to react on this. Let me go back across to Prajwal. Now, Prajwal, one of the charges that has been laid at the doorstep of the DMK is that they were, in a sense, trying to shield one of their councillors who is now the main accused in this murder case. Tell us more.
Absolutely. So Chinnaswamy is a ward councillor from from this locality, from the MGR Nagar, is what we get to understand. And also now, if you look at the sort of reactions that came in here against him, and obviously the people did not want to speak on camera, it is being understood that he used his power, he used his clout around in the locality, but there were no such major incidents which were reported against him until this happened. He had similar run-ins, but one of the major charges that was made by the father of the deceased soldier was that they were drunk, the sons and the accused and his sons were drunk, and then they started beating them mercilessly, and they were not even, they were not even in their senses when the victim's family was trying to plead for their lives. These were the sort of statements that was being made. So this only highlights the fact that the DMK is not taking action, was not taking action against this ward councillor. And between February 12th to between February 15th, he was admitted in a hospital. But between Feb 9th to Feb 12th, when this councillor fled to Karnataka, what exactly were the cops doing in? Was he given a time way? Was he given a passage to escape here? And also, when the victim's father is alleging that he was drunk, will the medical report also be considered here? That is something which needs to be considered. Back to you in the studios.
Absolutely. So Prajwal is bringing us the latest from Krishnanagar, as well as I think Aneri also was joining us earlier from Chennai. Both of you, thank you very much for joining us. Well, we now move on and look at what else is making news this morning. George Soros has jumped into the Adani issue. While speaking at an event last night, he said that Modi is silent on the subject, but he will have to answer questions. The billionaire investor has urged the Indian Prime Minister to respond to questions regarding the turmoil surrounding Gautam Adani's business empire, calling them close allies.
Modi and business tycoon Adani are close allies. Their fate is intertwined. Adani Enterprises tried to raise funds in the stock market but failed. Adani is accused of stock manipulation.
All right, Baswaraj Bommai, of course, has announced that Karnataka will be building a Ram Mandir that will be taken up at Ramanagara. This has been announced by the Karnataka Chief Minister Basvaraj Bommai during the budget presentation in the State Assembly in Bengaluru. Now, do remember that this is the last final budget of the government in Karnataka before Karnataka heads to polls. We are given to understand is that this pre-election budget, in this, apart from the focus that was supposed to be on women as well as lower sections of society, the Ram Mandir construction will also be taken up at Ramanagara. This has been announced by the Karnataka Chief Minister Basvaraj Bommai during the budget presentation in the State Assembly in Bengaluru. So there is going to be a new Ram Mandir that is going to be built in Ramanagara.
ಸೇರಿದ ಸುಮಾರು 50 ಲಕ್ಷ ರೈತರಿಗೆ ಅನುಕೂಲವಾಗಲಿದೆ. ರೈತರಿಗೆ ಅತ್ಯಾಧುನಿಕ ಕೃಷಿ ಯಂತ್ರೋಪಕರಣ ಸುಲಭವಾಗಿ ದೊರೆಯುವಂತೆ ಮಾಡಲು ಕೃಷಿ.
All right, Prajwal has more details on this. Prajwal, tell us more about the details that we now have access to in this budget. Now, obviously, this is an extremely crucial budget for Karnataka as it comes right before the state heads into polls.
Absolutely. Now, we are getting information that in this budget, which is now being presented by Chief Minister Basvaraj Bommai, we are getting information that the Chief Minister has also stated that a Ram Mandir will now be built in Ramnagar. And this was earlier also announced by the Minister of Higher Education and IT DT, Ashwath Narayan. And he also stated that a Ram Mandir will be built there. And the UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath will also be called in for the inauguration. But apart from this, now we are also looking at agriculture as one of the key sectors and also urban planning and development too, because the BJP government had also been facing a lot of heat when it came to potholes, mainly the civic infrastructure, which was down in the dumps too. So we are expecting that there will be some additional.
We are expecting that there will be some additional announcements made by the Chief Minister of Karnataka, Basvaraj Bommai, in this regard. But mainly when it comes to the farming sector, we are looking at interest-free loans for those farmers who are having less than 5 acre of lands, because initially the rebate was up to for farmers who were having less than 1 acre of land, but now we are looking till 5 acres. Will this be done as well? But one of the major problems for the Basvaraj Bommai led government is that this government will be there for only 2 months, and for this to be implemented, there should be there should be a government which has to come into power, and all depends on the fact whether it will be the BJP government which will again come to power in Karnataka or not, because the electorate will have to go on and decide that. The voters will have to decide that. So now, how will Basvaraj Bommai play it? Will he play it to the galleries? Will there be a dent on the state's exchequer, or will he play it smartly? That is something which has to be seen on the course of time. And remember, this is also election year in Karnataka, so all thing hinges on the presentations which Bommai is doing. But how and when will it be implemented by the BJP? That is something which only time will have to go on and answer here, Nupur.
All right, Prajwal, do stay with us. Let's also go across to Mr. S. Prakash, who's joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Prakash, good morning. Mr. Prakash, now we are seeing this budget that has come out. It does lay emphasis on the construction of the Ram Mandir, as well as we are told that about 1,000 crores has been set aside for the development of temples.
So there are various other pro-people initiatives in the budget, and among them is also developing and earmarking 1,000 crores for the development of several important temples in the state of Karnataka. Temple pilgrimage is attract thousands of devotees, which will drive the economic growth of that area, private jobs to thousands of youths. So it is a good decision by the Karnataka government to develop the temple, and most of the temples are contributing immensely for the revenue of the government also. The devotees, whatever is contributed is all the government temples. Money is going back to the government. So this investment will be useful in generating employment, in the development of the area.
All right, now, Mr. S. Prakash, apart from that, give us a sense of what is primarily otherwise going to be the focus. We can see, of course, that about 300 crore rupees have been allocated to reconstruction of roads for Bengaluru. And earlier we were hearing that the focus is going to be on the farming sector as well.
No, 10,000 crore is earmarked for the development of various projects in Bangalore city. Among them, 1,000 crore for the white tapping itself. It will improve the road condition of the city. Even during the monsoon, the road will be in a fit condition. So many pro-initiatives of the Bangalore city, which needs bigger attention, has been given by the Chief Minister, which is a welcome decision.
Right, Mr. Prakash, appreciate you speaking to us on Republic TV. Thank you very much for joining us. So that is the details that we are now accessed of the budget that has been released by the government. You're watching Republic TV. On the other side, suspected smugglers are abducted, tortured and burnt alive in Haryana. Owaisi alleges cow vigilantism. And not a word on the Ramcharitmanas burning. The Samajwadi Party suspends 2 leaders who opposed SP Maurya.
कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर जीओसी 15 कोर हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसे वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019 जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार के। उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई। लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बह जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया। एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी।
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है, ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था, 2.5 people, and I was complete one of them.
अच्छा सर,
जो भी इवेंचुअलिटीज हो सकती थी वो तमाम कॉन्टीजेंसीज को कैटर किया गया था, उनके बारे में प्लानिंग की गई थी, तैयारी की गई थी। आपको नहीं मालूम था, पाकिस्तान को नहीं मालूम था, किसी को नहीं मालूम था क्या होने वाला है। सीक्रेसी को मेंटेन रखते हुए कैसे इस पूरे चीज की तैयारी की गई और किसी को पता भी नहीं चला कि ये कदम गवर्नमेंट उठाने वाली है।
कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर जीओसी 15 कोर हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसे वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019 जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार के। उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई। लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बह जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया। एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी।
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है, ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था, 2.5 people, and I was complete one of them.
अच्छा सर,
जो भी इवेंचुअलिटीज हो सकती थी वो तमाम कॉन्टीजेंसीज को कैटर किया गया था, उनके बारे में प्लानिंग की गई थी, तैयारी की गई थी। आपको नहीं मालूम था, पाकिस्तान को नहीं मालूम था, किसी को नहीं मालूम था क्या होने वाला है। सीक्रेसी को मेंटेन रखते हुए कैसे इस पूरे चीज की तैयारी की गई और किसी को पता भी नहीं चला कि ये कदम गवर्नमेंट उठाने वाली है।
Border Security Force has exposed another nefarious plan of Pakistan, that how Pakistan is smuggling narcotics into the Indian territory. After failed attempts of pushing narcotics via drone into the Indian territory, now the Pakistan is using helium and hydrogen balloons to smuggle the narcotics into the Indian territory. The recent incident came into fore in the Gurdaspur sector of the Amritsar rural, where 2.1 kilogram of heroin has been recovered by the BSF, and during investigation it came into fore that it came into the Indian territory with the help of 4 helium or hydrogen balloons that were used to give it a height, and then the smugglers here were to pick up the consignment. However, due to the timely action by the border security force, the plan of Pakistan was foiled and the heroin that was sent from across the border worth more than 10 crore rupees was seized by the border security force. This shows that how desperate Pakistan is to push weapons and narcotics into the Indian territory at any cost. With Gaurav Sahani, Gursimran Singh for Republic Media Network.
You are watching Republic TV, and coming up next, George Soros jumps into the Adani issue, targets the Prime Minister. Is the Adani issue the biggest giveaway yet? And set back to the Uddhav camp, Supreme Court declines referring the matter to a larger bench.
The development of a nation is influenced by education.
Education that does not enable independent thinking and knowing is devoid of something fundamental.
Education helps implement effective social reforms.
Focus more on the fundamentals like the skills of decision making, mental models, or love towards reading.
Education's main purpose is to build the necessary skills which help us to succeed in life.
Catch the special episode of Read India celebration this weekend only on Republic TV.
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा, उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है, ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था, 2.5 people, and I was complete one of them.
अच्छा सर,
जो भी इवेंचुअलिटीज हो सकती थी, वो तमाम कॉन्टीजेंसीज को कैटर किया गया था, उनके बारे में प्लानिंग की गई थी, तैयारी की गई थी। आपको नहीं मालूम था, पाकिस्तान को नहीं मालूम था, किसी को नहीं मालूम था क्या होने वाला है। सीक्रेसी को मेंटेन रखते हुए कैसे इस पूरे चीज की तैयारी की गई और किसी को पता भी नहीं चला कि ये कदम गवर्नमेंट उठाने वाली है।
कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए, आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर GOC 15 कोर? हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए, और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसी वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019 जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार के। उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई। लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बिछ जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया। एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी, हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी।
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा, उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है, ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था, 2.5 people, and I was complete one of them.
अच्छा सर,
जो भी इवेंचुअलिटीज हो सकती थी, वो तमाम कॉन्टीजेंसीज को कैटर किया गया था, उनके बारे में प्लानिंग की गई थी, तैयारी की गई थी। आपको नहीं मालूम था, पाकिस्तान को नहीं मालूम था, किसी को नहीं मालूम था क्या होने वाला है। सीक्रेसी को मेंटेन रखते हुए कैसे इस पूरे चीज की तैयारी की गई और किसी को पता भी नहीं चला कि ये कदम गवर्नमेंट उठाने वाली है।
कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए, आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर GOC 15 कोर? हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए, और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसी वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019 जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार के। उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई। लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बिछ जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया। एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी, हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी।
एक तो 370-35 से हट,
Mr. Stalin, what do you have to say on the recent death of Lance Naik Prabhu? Mr. Stalin, what do you have to say on the recent death of Prabhu? DMK is involved in this. DMK is involved in that.
48 hours on, the Congress and the DMK don silence as chorus for justice for Lance Naik Prabhu grows.
Adani Enterprises tried to raise funds in the stock market but failed. Adani is accused of stock manipulation and his stock collapsed like a house of cards.
George Soros jumps into the Adani issue, targets Prime Minister. Is the Adani issue the biggest giveaway yet? Setback to the Uddhav camp, Supreme Court declines referring matter to a larger bench. Suspected smugglers are abducted, tortured and burnt alive in Haryana. Owaisi alleges cow vigilantism. Not a word on Ramcharitmanas' burning. Samajwadi Party suspends 2 leaders who oppose SP Maurya. Days after the anti-India graffiti on the Hindu temple in Mississauga, Canada condemns Hinduphobia. You are watching Republic TV, and suspected smugglers abducted and burnt alive 2 men in Haryana. Now the police has begun its investigation after registering a case on the complaint of the victim's family at Gopalgarh police station. Meanwhile, Saduddin Owaisi has hit out at the government alleging cow vigilantism. So what we know of the incident so far is that these 2 men were cattle smugglers allegedly, and they were abducted from Rajasthan and then taken to Haryana, where they were allegedly burnt alive in the car in which they were abducted.
गोपालगढ़ थाने पर 2 लड़कों के अपहरण की सूचना उनके परिजनों ने दर्ज कराई थी। उनके फ़ोन वगैरह को ट्रेस किया तो फ़ोन स्विच ऑफ आ रहे थे। तो रात भर उनको आसपास के इलाकों में देखा, कुछ लोगों के संदिग्ध लोगों के नाम बताए गए। उनकी ये बताया गया कि वो एक बोलेरो गाड़ी में थे और उनको मारपीट करके अपहरण कर लिया है। आज सुबह वही बोलेरो गाड़ी उसी इंजन नंबर, चेसिस नंबर, रजिस्ट्रेशन नंबर की भिवानी डिस्ट्रिक्ट में लोहारू एरिया के अंदर जली हुई हालत में मिली। उसमें 2 अज्ञात व्यक्तियों की शव भी मिले हैं जो भी जली हुई हालत में। तो गाड़ी तो वही है, ये वही व्यक्ति हैं जिनका अपहरण हुआ था और जलाया गया है।
Amandeep has more details on this. Amandeep, give us more details in terms of what we are learning about this particular incident. We are being told that these 2 were cattle smugglers, and this is being looked upon as a case of cow vigilantism.
Well, absolutely, Nupur, and in fact, this incident reported yesterday when these 2 remain missing from the Rajasthan, and their skeletons have been recovered in Loharu area of Bhiwani, that is just on the border of the Rajasthan, and in fact, both have been chaired to death in a Bolero car, and further the police is investigating the case, and now the FIR has been registered in Bhiwani, and even further they are investigating the case, and preliminary investigation reveals that the deceased were involved into the cattle smuggling and in fact having certain kind of cases in the Rajasthan as well, and that is the reason, and the allegations for killing these 2 against the Bajrang Dal's Gau Rakshak, and in fact the police is further investigating the matter just because the family members of the deceased are blaming that Gau Rakshaks were behind this murder, and in fact they they have kidnapped both the youth from Rajasthan and then taken them to Haryana in Bhiwani, and then they put their car on the fire and killed them. These are the allegations from the family members of the deceased, but the police is investigating the case, and both the deceased are suspected to be into the cattle smuggling case as well. Yes.
Right, Amandeep bringing us those details. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, Republic TV spoke to the BJP's Annamalai over the soldier's brutal murder committed by DMK councillor and his aides. Annamalai has sought exemplary punishment for the police officials who didn't act swiftly. He also said that he would be starting a fast near the War Memorial in Chennai, and it would be attended by retired servicemen.
Few questions with K. Annamalai, State President of the BJP, and then I'll open the debate. Mr. Annamalai, Stalin is not saying a word. Rahul Baba has taken the taxpayer-paid security and has gone skiing. And our sources in the Congress party say that for Rahul Gandhi, this is a very small matter. For MK Stalin, it is an insignificant matter. Why should they comment on it? So clearly, there is no accountability at all in this case.
Vanakkam sir, I would be very surprised if our Chief Minister has spoken. I would be very surprised if he has commented because he is totally clueless. One, he has completely lost control of his administration, very poor law and order maintenance. On top of it, DMK as a party, we all know, it is in their blood. The support for army, support for national integration, support for territorial unity is never there. So in this particular case, all they are trying to do from yesterday is trying to hush it up. In fact, today the SP and the IG of that area, they have gone on record. Anybody talking about this in social media, commenting, would be dealt with law. That is the level of gag order that is there.
They are saying some people commenting on social media. Suppose people comment on social media and criticize MK Stalin and tell him that he runs a government which has no law and order, he should be accountable and that he should be ashamed for himself. You're saying they'll be arrested for saying that?
That is the level of stupidity that is prevalent in the Tamil Nadu administration now. They made the SP to give a press briefing in the evening. So they believe they can threaten everybody, cow down everybody so that nobody speaks about that issue. Mainly thanks to you and Republic who have taken it from yesterday, only after some things are happening at the ground level. But unfortunately, that is the kind of state in which we live.
Well, what has happened to the media in Tamil Nadu? I mean, for 8 days, who in the media picked this story up? Who made it a campaign? Did any newspaper make it a campaign? Did your Tamil TV channels, news channels make it a campaign? Who's talking about it? These pictures are appalling, Annamalai. If you see the pictures, you know, they've outraged the whole country. But why has it taken 8 days for this news to come to the forefront?
We feel very sad when we hung our head in shame that has happened on Tamil soil. An army man was lynched, beaten to death here. We all hang our head in shame. This doesn't reflect the Tamil culture. This is not who we are. But unfortunately, DMK being in government and the DMK councillor being the accused, and this whole thing is blown up as if we are like that. It is only DMK which is like that. The DMK elected representatives are like that. But very unfortunate, very, very unfortunate. Even the local police is not fighting for their brother in uniform. The police should have taken action. They have silenced the police. The Tamil media is not allowed to speak. They have silenced them also. There is a very severe control on them. The government controls the Tamil media by their advertising budget. Anybody talks about against the government, next month they don't get their advertising budget. That is how, unfortunately, the system is run in our state.
These people, viewers, are fighting for the BBC at a global level. Annamalai, so what happens now? I mean, you'll protest about it for a couple of days. We are going to raise the issue. There's anger. People are calling in right now. But what now? What now? What after this?
No, sir. I see a lot of ground shift this time, sir. Never in Tamil Nadu's history, the retired army personnel with their uniform and badges on, they have gone and met the collector and given a memorandum. Never in Tamil Nadu's history it has happened. This is the first time. Across almost all the districts, the army personnel have gone with their uniform, with badges, ranks and caps intact. They have given memorandum first time. And 3 days from now, on 21st, there is a candlelight march in the War Memorial in Chennai. Huge number of army men are expected to participate. Tamil Nadu has never seen this kind of ex-army participation any time in its history. So this, in a way, I believe it's a shift that has happened in the people's mindset. An average common man in the road talks about it. He feels very angry. He feels very hurt, especially with respect to how the Tamil Nadu CM is behaving. Of course, Congress, no need to talk about themselves. The reason is Congress has lost their political character. It is almost like, at least in Tamil Nadu, it is like the B team of DMK. Even the DMK spokesperson don't defend DMK like that. The Congress people go overboard in defending DMK, and Rahulji is no more an exception. All he thinks is he has walked across India and now he deserves a rest. Now only thing is he has gone up in Gulmagar, is taking a rest, and anytime he might go to Italy, anytime he might go out of the country for a rest. So less we speak about Rahulji on this, it is better for all of us as citizens, sir.
Mr. Malai, I just say one thing. I mean, the nationalist sentiment in Tamil Nadu is very strong. The pro-army sentiment, the pro-military sentiment in Tamil Nadu is extremely strong. My father was from the Madras Sappers, so I know it. So I think, Mr. Annamalai, there's a lot of reactions that we are getting from the ground. I can only tell you this. So many people, thousands of people have called us from Tamil Nadu today. Thousands of people are calling us from across the country. So in case Rahul Gandhi and MK Stalin think nobody's watching, well, they've got something completely wrong. You're going on a fast, I'm told, on this, in protest of this attack on Lance Naik Prabhu?
Sir, I'm sitting on a fast on 21st. I'm sitting on a one-day fast. Sir, not only me, we have invited all the civic people, all the common people to sit with us. Then evening would be a candlelight march, because we believe this is the only way we can do it, to awake at least the DMK party, to awake the policemen who are sleeping, and to awake their own brothers in uniform who are trying to hush it up. Politician DMK hushing it up is okay. IG and SP coming and giving a press bite. And the unfortunate part, sir, the deceased, the councillor's son is also a policeman. The person who lynched and killed the Lance Naik, the martyred army soldier, the deceased person is also a police constable. Now, very, very unfortunate. Everywhere the system is rotten. Where will the army men get justice? The reason we are sitting on fast, we don't want any soldier who is living in our border, up high in the Himalayas or in Siachen. He should not think, what is this Tamil people, what is this Tamil Nadu not taking care of my brother? This thought should not come in their mind. That is why all of us are sitting on a one-day fast. It's more like a penance, more like a repentance for us, that somehow this soil has left out a great army martyred soldier. We all hang our head in shame for what happened from yesterday, sir.
Well, as I said, this is a campaign. Annamalai, I thank you very much for joining us.
And we slip into a very short break, and still to come, there's not a word on the Ram Charit Manas burning, but the Samajwadi Party suspends 2 leaders who opposed SP Maurya. Days after the anti-India graffiti on the Hindu temple in Mississauga, Canada condemns Hinduphobia.
कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए, आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर GOC 15 कोर? हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसी वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019 जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार को। उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था, और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई। लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बिछ जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया। एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी।
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है। ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था, 2.5 people, and I was complete one of them.
अच्छा सर।
जो भी इवेंचुअलिटीज हो सकती थी, वो तमाम कॉन्टीजेंसीज को कैटर किया गया था, उनके बारे में प्लानिंग की गई थी, तैयारी की गई थी। आपको नहीं मालूम था, पाकिस्तान को नहीं मालूम था, किसी को नहीं मालूम था क्या होने वाला है। सीक्रेसी को मेंटेन रखते हुए कैसे इस पूरे चीज की तैयारी की गई और किसी को पता भी नहीं चला कि ये कदम गवर्नमेंट उठाने वाली है।
कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए, आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर GOC 15 कोर? हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसी वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019 जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार को। उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था, और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई। लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बिछ जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया। एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी, हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी।
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है। ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था, 2.5 people, and I was complete one of them।
अच्छा सर।
जो भी इवेंचुअलिटीज हो सकती थी वो तमाम कॉन्टीजेंसीज को कैटर किया गया था, उनके बारे में प्लानिंग की गई थी, तैयारी की गई थी। आपको नहीं मालूम था, पाकिस्तान को नहीं मालूम था, किसी को नहीं मालूम था क्या होने वाला है। सीक्रेसी को मेंटेन रखते हुए कैसे इस पूरे चीज की तैयारी की गई और किसी को पता भी नहीं चला कि ये कदम गवर्नमेंट उठाने वाली है।
कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए, आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर GOC 15 कोर? हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसे वो लम्हा था।
कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए, आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर GOC 15 कोर? हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसे वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019 जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार के। उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई। लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बिछ जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया। एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी, हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी।
On Thursday, a train hauling hazardous materials derailed near Detroit, but none of the materials spilled. While crews who were rushed to the place of the incident said that the cause of the derailment is still unknown. Watch how derailing led to more than half a dozen cars derailed, some of them left sideways across the tracks. The derailment just before 9 a.m. in an area west of Detroit Metropolitan Airport left the tracks damaged and the wheels disconnected from some rail cars. However, police said that there were no reported injuries and no evidence that hazardous materials were exposed in the derailment. The train derailed as communities in the Arizona and Ohio grapple with the fallout from a truck crash that was reported on Tuesday and the Ohio train derailment, both involving hazardous materials. Agency report, Republic TV.
The death toll from earthquakes in Turkey and northwestern Syria has gone past 42,000 as rescue efforts continue. Canadian MP Chandra Arya on Friday condemned the defacing of the Ram Mandir in Mississauga with anti-India graffiti and said that Hindu temples have become the target of hate crimes in Canada. Aryan said that Parliament needs to act against the perpetrators of these crimes. Japan's H3 next generation rocket was unable to lift off as scheduled today after booster engines failed to ignite. According to sources, at liftoff time, smoke was seen rising from the bottom of the rocket. However, the rocket did not rise from the launch pad. An investigation on what went wrong is underway. Abortion access in Kentucky remained virtually shut off after the state's highest court refused to halt a near-total ban that has largely been in place since Roe v. Wade was overturned. Kentucky's Supreme Court, which was weighing challenges to the state's near-total ban, sent the case back to a lower court for further consideration of constitutional issues related to more restrictive bans. The Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau made an announcement at an annual meeting of the Caribbean leaders that Canada will send Navy vessels to Haiti for intelligence gathering as part of efforts to quell worsening gang violence in the Caribbean.
That Canada will also deploy Royal Canadian Navy vessels to conduct surveillance, gather intelligence, and maintain a maritime presence off the Haitian coast in the coming weeks. Canada continues to reinforce the capacities of the Haitian police to overpower armed gangs and hold those who support them accountable.
You are watching Republic TV, and on the other side we bring you more news, including there's complete silence from Stalin as well as the Congress on Lance Naik Prabhu's killing.
Adani Enterprises tried to raise funds in the stock market but failed. Adani is accused of stock manipulation and his stock collapsed like a house of cards.
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है। ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था, 2.5 people, and I was complete one of them.
अच्छा सर।
जो भी इवेंचुअलिटीज हो सकती थी, वो तमाम कॉन्टीजेंसीज को कैटर किया गया था, उनके बारे में प्लानिंग की गई थी, तैयारी की गई थी। आपको नहीं मालूम था, पाकिस्तान को नहीं मालूम था, किसी को नहीं मालूम था क्या होने वाला है। सीक्रेसी को मेंटेन रखते हुए कैसे इस पूरे चीज की तैयारी की गई और किसी को पता भी नहीं चला कि ये कदम गवर्नमेंट उठाने वाली है।
कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए, आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर GOC 15 कोर? हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसी वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019 जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार के। उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई। लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बह जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया। एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी, हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी।
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है। ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था, 2.5 people, and I was complete one of them.
अच्छा सर।
जो भी इवेंचुअलिटीज हो सकती थी, वो तमाम कॉन्टीजेंसीज को कैटर किया गया था, उनके बारे में प्लानिंग की गई थी, तैयारी की गई थी। आपको नहीं मालूम था, पाकिस्तान को नहीं मालूम था, किसी को नहीं मालूम था क्या होने वाला है। सीक्रेसी को मेंटेन रखते हुए कैसे इस पूरे चीज की तैयारी की गई और किसी को पता भी नहीं चला कि ये कदम गवर्नमेंट उठाने वाली है।
कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए, आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर GOC 15 कोर? हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसी वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019 जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार के। उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई। लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बह जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया। एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी, हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी।
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
The All India Football Federation is mourning the demise of the legendary former India forward Tulsidas Balram, who passed away at the age of 85 in Kolkata on Thursday, the 16th of February, a prominent member of the golden generation of Indian football in the 50s and the 60s. Bengal's dream of winning a Ranji trophy after more than 3 decades suffered a setback as the left-arm Saurashtra pace duo of Jaydev Unadkat and Chetan Sakaria rattles the home team's top order to bundle them out for a paltry 174 on the opening day of the summit clash on Thursday. Beth Mooney got her batting back on track thanks to a mammoth partnership with Alisa Healy that steered Australia to a 10-wicket victory over Sri Lanka in the Women's T20 World Cup. The 5-time champions suffered Sri Lanka with spin to stop them from capitalising on a fast start provided by skipper Chamari Athapathu and Harshita Samar Vikrama. The Khelo India National Ranking Women Weightlifting Tournament for senior, junior and youth women is set to be held at the Patliputra Sports Complex in Patna on the 18th of February. The event will last till the 24th. The women's events are taking place under the Khelo India Sports for Women component of the Government of India's flagship program. And star shuttlers PV Sindhu and HS Pranoy won their respective singles matches as India made it to the quarters of the Asia Mixed Team Badminton Championship, the group toppers, after defeating Malaysia in Dubai on Thursday. And coming up next, there's no word on Ramcharitmanas' burning, but the Samajwadi Party suspends two leaders who opposed SP Maurya. Days after anti-India graffiti and Hindu temple in Mississauga, Canada condemns Hinduphobia.
कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर जीओसी 15 कोर हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसी वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019 जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार को। उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई। लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बिछ जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया। एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी।
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है। ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था, 2.5 people, and I was complete one of them.
अच्छा सर।
जो भी इवेंचुअलिटीज हो सकती थी वो तमाम कॉन्टीजेंसीज को कैटर किया गया था, उनके बारे में प्लानिंग की गई थी, तैयारी की गई थी। आपको नहीं मालूम था, पाकिस्तान को नहीं मालूम था, किसी को नहीं मालूम था क्या होने वाला है। सीक्रेसी को मेंटेन रखते हुए कैसे इस पूरे चीज की तैयारी की गई और किसी को पता भी नहीं चला कि ये कदम गवर्नमेंट उठाने वाली है।
कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर जीओसी 15 कोर हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसी वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019 जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार को। उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई। लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बिछ जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया। एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी।
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
Top headlines at 12 p.m. 48 hours on Vadra Congress dons silence as chorus with justice for Lance Naik, Prabhu Kroslav. Setback for Uddhav camp, Supreme Court declines referring matter to larger bench. Suspected smugglers abducted, tortured and burnt alive in Haryana, OAC alleges cow vigilantism. Not a word on Ramcharitmanas burning. Samajwadi Party suspends two leaders who opposed SP Maurya. Days after anti-India graffiti on Hindu temple in Canada, the country condemns Hinduphobia.
We're joined in by the ex-servicemen of the Indian Army who have come to pay their last respects, who have come to pay their respects to the deceased soldier Lance Naik Prabhu. So first and foremost, now looking at this entire scenario, it is very sad. They are completely helpless. The DMK has not even visited, not even one single Neta of the DMK has visited. Hundreds of you are coming out in large numbers now, expressing solidarity with the family. What have the family members spoken to you, and what do you request the government, or what more do you demand from the government now?
जो आपने जो बताया डीएमके की तरफ से कोई नहीं आया या गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से कोई नहीं आया, हम किसी पार्टी का इंडिकेट करना नहीं चाहते। ये सब उनको होना चाहिए। जो इधर एक आर्मी मैन को मर्डर किया गया है, इसमें उन लोग खुद आना चाहिए। कोई मिनिस्टर या ऑफिशियल्स, कोई हायर ऑफिशियल्स, उनको खुद आना चाहिए। ये हम जो नहीं कर रहा है तो उसको हम ब्लेम नहीं कर रहे हैं। जो नहीं आया है तो वो नहीं आया है, उनको नेचर को वो ये इंडिकेट करता है। जो नहीं आया है तो उनको नेचर हुए ये एक आर्मी मैन के प्रति कितना उनका दिल में वो इज्जत है, उसको ये इंडिकेट करता है। तो हम नहीं इंडिकेट करना चाहते हैं उसको। एक आर्मी मैन, एक सर्विस मैन के क्या वो इज्जत देता है, देश का क्या इज्जत वो देता है, तो वो हम इंडिकेट करना नहीं चाहता है इसको। वो खुद को मालूम होना चाहिए, ये पूरा देश को पता है। आज ये आप कौन इधर आया, कौन नहीं आया है, तो ये सब देश को मालूम है। ये हम नहीं किसी को इंडिकेट करते हैं इसको, ये नहीं आया, वो पार्टी नहीं आया। लेकिन इस परिवार को, इस बच्चों को, उस लेडी है, उस जिसका पति ये नहीं होना चाहिए, इसे हो गया, इनको लाइफ लॉन्ग वो जिंदा रहने से उस बच्चों को भविष्य कैसे वो बना सकते थे, उस मुताबिक बनाने के लिए गवर्नमेंट उनका परिवार का साथ रहना चाहिए। इस मुताबिक इंसिडेंट इससे आगे नहीं होने के लिए तो गवर्नमेंट कुछ ना कुछ कदम लेना चाहिए, चाहे वो आज का गवर्नमेंट हो, आने वाला गवर्नमेंट हो। लेकिन ये एक्स सर्विसमैन के लिए या सर्विसमैन का सुरक्षित के लिए तो ये लोकल गुंडे उसके ऊपर जो कर रहे हैं कार्रवाई, उसको प्रति गवर्नमेंट कुछ ना कुछ सख्त कदम लेना चाहिए। तो यही चाहते हैं हम वो एक्स सर्विसमैन एसोसिएशन की तरफ से ये हम चाहते हैं।
सर ठीक है, फैमिली मेंबर्स आपका साथ बात किया, क्या बात किया है और उसका मांग क्या है सर? अभी
वही मांग वही कर रहे हैं। वो मांग मतलब किसी एक मूल्य से उसको जो नुकसान है उसको सामान्य नहीं कर सकता, लेकिन अभी उनका भविष्य के लिए तो वही मांग वही है। अच्छा न्याय चाहिए। आज आप पूछे तो वो मैंने अरेस्ट कर दिया है। अरेस्ट करने से ये न्याय नहीं होता। अरेस्ट करने के बाद ये आखिरी में जो गलत किया है उसको साथ क्या सलूक किया जाए, क्या करेंगे, ये है फाइनल। अभी आज मीडिया सब आया है, आप लोग इंटरव्यू ले रहे हैं, सब कुछ कर रहे हैं, तो ये इसके बाद दूसरा कोई इश्यू हो जाएगा तो सब उसके ऊपर डाइवर्ट हो जाएंगे। लेकिन इसका क्या हुआ है, वेलम्बटी में जो प्रभु हुआ है तो उस प्रभु के पीछे क्या हुआ है, 10-15 साल के बाद इसका केस का क्या हुआ, किसी का कोई आज तक ऐसे कोई केस में किसी ने इंडिकेट नहीं किया फलाना केस में 10 साल का पहले हुआ था लेकिन उसको ये पनिशमेंट मिला है, कोई नहीं पूछता इसको। लेकिन ये ऐसे नहीं होना चाहिए, ऐसे ये मिस आउट नहीं होना चाहिए। जल्दी से जल्दी इस केस के अंदर इसको जो गुनाहगार है उसका फैसला मिलना चाहिए। वो फैसला पूरा देश को पता होना चाहिए ताकि ये ऐसे गलती करने वालों को ये पनिशमेंट मिलता है, ताकि आगे कोई गलती करे तो वो भी इसको पनिशमेंट को देख के वो डरे।
Are the police's hands tied up now? Because yes, we know that he's a DMK functionary, the DMK government is in power, and the chief minister is also the home minister of Tamil Nadu. So are their hands tied up? Are they not being allowed to perform their duties?
नहीं, हम किसी के ड्यूटी को हम ब्लेम नहीं करना चाहते हैं। वो ड्यूटी किया है नहीं किया है तो हम किसी को ब्लेम नहीं करना चाहते। क्यों, एक फौजी होने के नाते किसी पॉलिटिकल के अंदर घुस के ये पॉलिटिकल पार्टी ये किया नहीं, वो नहीं किया, हम नहीं करना चाहते हैं वो बात। लेकिन उनको अपना फर्ज करना चाहिए था, अपना फर्ज को निभाना चाहिए था। वो नहीं निभाया है तो वो पूरा देश देख रहा है उसको। तो कौन कैसे है वो पूरा देश देख रहा है, तो हम किसी के ब्लेम नहीं करते हैं। बस ये मिनिस्टर आया नहीं, वो एमएलए नहीं आया, एमपी नहीं आया, हम नहीं करना चाहते हैं। वो उनको नेचर को इंडिकेट करता है, इसमें कैसे नेचर का आदमी लोग है वो इंडिकेट करता है। हम नहीं ब्लेम करना चाहते हैं, वो पूरा देश देख रहा है इसको, लेकिन वो करना चाहिए था, उनको आना चाहिए था। अभी आप लोगों को देखते हैं, मीडिया में देख रहे हैं, तो भाई रोड में क्या हो रहा है, सब उसी में बिजी हैं। तो फिर एक मामूली जवान मरने से उनको क्या हो गया उसमें।
So that was the ex-servicemen who were speaking to Republic there, going on and saying that it does not matter who visits the house of the deceased soldier or not, but their demand is quite clear that justice should be given to the family of the deceased, especially the widow of Lance Nayak Prabhu. She should be given a job, and also the education of their children should be taken care by the government. And all said and done now, at least will the DMK government go on to wake up, take some sort of action and make sure that this particular case is going to go on and reach a logical conclusion or not? That is something which has to be seen. With video journalist Bhagat Prajwal Prasad reporting for Republic, Bengaluru.
So the army veterans there at the residence of Lance Nayak Prabhu demanding justice for Lance Nayak Prabhu. This of course comes in the backdrop of the DMK and its ally Congress who are still silent on this whole matter, even as chorus is only growing louder for justice for Lance Nayak Prabhu. Remember, Republic has also accessed a partial FIR copy in the murder case of Lance Nayak Prabhu in this FIR that we've accessed, in which murder charges have also been added to the FIR. Meanwhile, multiple sections have also been slapped against the accused after Republic expose. So the FIR has been launched against the accused under various sections, which also includes murder charge. But chorus only growing, clamour only growing for justice for Lance Nayak Prabhu as we speak. The visuals there on your screens right now, which shows how the family has been mourning the loss of Lance Nayak Prabhu. Lance Nayak, who was lynched on February 8th. Rahul Gandhi, meanwhile, is still silent on this whole matter. Not a word that has come in either from Vadra Congress or from DMK in Tamil Nadu. And this, even as the DMK councillor has been, of course, arrested along with the mob that he led on 8th of February. Remember, no action has been taken against him by the DMK activists.
राज्यसभा सांसद माननीय अनिल बलूनी जी हैं। मेरा विनम्र निवेदन है आदरणीय स्मृति ईरानी जी से कि आपको संबोधित करें।
नमस्कार। The man who broke the Bank of England, a man who is known and designated so by a nation as an economic war criminal, has now pronounced his desire to break the Indian democracy. As you all know, George Soros, an international entrepreneur who hedges bets against many countries, has now declared his ill intentions to intervene in the democratic processes of India. That George Soros wants a government which is pliable to his needs is more than evident from his statements. That he has pronounced funding of over $1 billion, particularly to target leaders like Prime Minister Modi, is significant. As a Karyakarta of the Bharatiya Janata Party, this is an appeal to every Indian citizen. Every 5 years, we all democratically elect a government to serve the needs and aspirations of India. We as a nation state, during COVID, became the pharmacy to the world. We as a nation state are witness how Prime Minister Modi has ensured food security for 800 million Indians. We as a nation state are witness to the Amrit Kal budget, which has the highest allocation for defense. We as a nation state are, together with Prime Minister Modi, laying the foundation for the future of our country that will not only inherit our dreams, but a resilient and stronger economy. It is to be highlighted that when India rose to the 5th largest economy of the world, when the President of the United States of America, the Prime Minister of England, the President of France, publicly extended gratitude to the Indian Prime Minister and India for enabling employment not only in India, but also these 3 designated nations. Such is a time where the imperialistic intentions of an entrepreneur come to light. Today, as a citizen, I call upon every individual and organization, societal or political, to denounce the intention of this individual who seeks to demonize our democracy, weaken our democratic interests, and who brings an onslaught to the economy of India, all so that he can personally gain. Those who Mr. Soros finds pliable need to know that India has defeated imperialistic designs before and shall do so again. Those who support Mr. Soros need to know that democracy has prevailed in India and will continue to do so. And particularly, as a Karyakarta of the Bharatiya Janata Party, these designs to weaken Indian democracy will be met with the might of India under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. आज देश की जनता को एक नागरिक होने के नाते आह्वान करना चाहती हूं। एक विदेशी ताकत जिसके केंद्र बिंदु में है एक व्यक्ति जिनका नाम है जॉर्ज सोरोस, उन्होंने ऐलान किया है कि वो हिंदुस्तान के लोकतांत्रिक ढांचे पर चोट करेंगे। उन्होंने ऐलान किया है कि वो प्रधानमंत्री मोदी को अपने वार के मुख्य बिंदु बनाएंगे। उन्होंने ऐलान किया है कि उनके चलते वो हिंदुस्तान में अपनी विदेशी ताकत के अंतर्गत एक ऐसी व्यवस्था बनाएंगे जो हिंदुस्तान के हितों का नहीं बल्कि उनके हितों का संरक्षण करेंगे। आज देश के आवाम को मैं अपील करना चाहती हूं, चाहे आप व्यक्ति हों चाहे आप संगठन हो, चाहे आप राजनीतिक दल हो। हिंदुस्तान ने वर्षों वर्ष तक एक लोकतांत्रिक व्यवस्था में अपनी सरकार को चुना है। जॉर्ज सोरोस का ये ऐलान कि वो हिंदुस्तान में मोदी को झुका देंगे, हिंदुस्तान की लोकतांत्रिक ढांचे से चुनी हुई सरकार को ध्वस्त करेंगे, उसका मुंहतोड़ जवाब हर हिंदुस्तानी को देना चाहिए। यह हम सबको ज्ञात है कि जब विश्व में इस बात की चर्चा थी कि कोविड में हिंदुस्तान का क्या हश्र होगा, तो प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने 80 करोड़ नागरिकों की खाद्य सुरक्षा की दृष्टि से हर गरीब तक अनाज पहुंचाया। जब विश्व में यह चर्चा थी कि कोविड में हिंदुस्तान वैक्सीन और दवाई की दृष्टि से अपना संरक्षण कैसे कर पाएगा, तब प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में 200 करोड़ वैक्सीन की डोजेज न सिर्फ हिंदुस्तानियों को मिली मुफ्त, बल्कि साथ ही 160 देशों की सहायता हिंदुस्तान ने की। हिंदुस्तान इस बात का साक्षी है कि अमृतकाल का ये बजट भारत की रक्षा प्रणाली के लिए सबसे ज्यादा आवंटन करता है। आज जब भारत को अमेरिका के राष्ट्रपति, फ्रांस के राष्ट्रपति, इंग्लैंड के प्रधानमंत्री आभार व्यक्त करते हैं कि उनके देशों में हिंदुस्तान और हिंदुस्तानियों की वजह से आज आर्थिक संबंध और मजबूत हो रहे हैं, जब भारत विश्व की 5वीं सबसे बड़ी अर्थव्यवस्था बनकर उभर रही है, ऐसे में हिंदुस्तान के लोकतांत्रिक ढांचे में हस्तक्षेप करने का ऐलान करने वाले जॉर्ज सोरोस को एक स्वर में हम जवाब दें कि लोकतांत्रिक परिस्थितियों में लोकतांत्रिक ढांचे से चुनी गई हिंदुस्तान की सरकार और हिंदुस्तान के प्रधान सेवक नरेंद्र मोदी ऐसे गलत इरादों के सामने सर नहीं झुकाएंगे। जब जब हिंदुस्तान को चुनौती दी गई, हमने विदेशी ताकतों को पहले भी हराया है, आगे भी हराते रहेंगे।
कोई प्रश्न है तो रविकांत राय, टाइम्स नाउ। एक मिनट अंकित जी, रविकांत।
आपको क्या लगता है कि भारत सरकार और भारत के प्रधानमंत्री की छवि को धूमिल करने के लिए अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर भी कोई साजिश रची जाए?
देखिए, ये मात्र छवि को धूमिल करने का दुस्साहस नहीं है। अगर आप उस वाक्य को बड़ी बारीकी से सुने, वो सत्ता परिवर्तन की बात करते हैं, तो आप इसको मात्र इमेज से इसका संबंध ना जोड़ें। हिंदुस्तान की लोकतांत्रिक व्यवस्था को ध्वस्त करने का ऐलान किया गया है।
अंकित गुप्ता, एबीपी।
जॉर्ज सोरोस की बात करें तो इससे पहले भी प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी के ऊपर जो हमलावर रहे हैं, वो लगातार कहते रहे कि प्रधानमंत्री हिंदू राष्ट्र बनाने की बात करते हैं। पिछले 3-4 सालों से उनके इस तरीके के बयान दुनिया के तमाम नेताओं के लिए, तो आखिर मकसद क्या है? और भारत में भी कुछ पार्टीज हैं जो लगातार वो यही कह रही है कि अंतर्राष्ट्रीय साजिश हो रही है देश में विपक्ष के खिलाफ इस तरीके से।
मैं इतना ही कहना चाहूंगी, उनके अगर अपने शब्दों को आप देखें तो वो चाहते हैं कि उनकी विदेशी व्यवस्था को जो सरकार सहयोग कर दे, ऐसी सरकार हिंदुस्तान में उचित है। नरेंद्र मोदी जी का बार बार और हिंदुस्तानियों का बार बार यह कथन रहा है कि हमारी सरकार हमारे हितों का संरक्षण करेंगी, हमारी सरकार हमारी व्यवस्थाओं को सुदृढ़ करेगी और हम ह्यूमन सेंट्रिक ग्लोबलाइजेशन में विश्वास करने वाले देशवासी हैं। लेकिन जॉर्ज सोरोस का जो ऐलान हुआ है वो ऐलान आप निश्चित रूप से बारीकी से समझें। वो हमारी डेमोक्रेसी को ध्वस्त करने का ऐलान मात्र इसलिए करते हैं ताकि उनके हैंड पिक्ड लोग सरकार चलाएं।
आमोद राय टीवी 9।
जॉर्ज सोरोस आखिरकार किसको चाहते हैं हिंदुस्तान में? उनको जेडी सरकार से क्या दिक्कत है और किसको चाहते हैं?
मैं आमोद जी आपका ध्यान आकृष्ट करूं, जैसा कि यहाँ एक पत्रकार ने कहा कि ये पहला कटाक्ष नहीं है नरेंद्र मोदी पर, और प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने बार बार कहा कि उन पर कटाक्ष करेंगे, उन पर वार करेंगे तो वो सहन करने की शक्ति रखते हैं, लेकिन हिंदुस्तान पर वार ना वो स्वीकार करेंगे ना कोई हिंदुस्तानी स्वीकार करेगा। जॉर्ज सोरोस किसको फंड करते हैं ये मुझसे बेहतर आप पत्रकार जानते हैं।
मोहित भट्ट टाइम्स नाउ प्लीज।
यस।
There is a pattern in which George Soros speaks. Earlier also he tried to interfere in the internal affairs of our country. When speaking 2 years ago, he stated that PM Modi has put on punitive restrictions on people of Kashmir. He talked about that, how the government is planning to take over the citizenship, and now he says that Adani vote will bring the downfall of PM Modi. He's interfering into the internal affairs, and now we see the Congress party leaders are coming out and supporting the statement that is being given by him.
I will only say this. Any political organization that seeks to serve the interest of India will stand in solidarity with India and against George Soros. Any political organization that matches steps with George Soros will stand exposed in front of the Indian electorate. Yes, it is true that George Soros has not only attacked Prime Minister Modi, he has attacked the intention and the will of the Indian Parliament. That now he seeks to attack democratic processes in India is an issue I find no political organization that is constitutionally steeped in protecting Indian interest can support.
ठाकुर रविंद्र सिंह जी न्यूज।
क्या जॉर्ज सोरोस एक इतना ताकतवर व्यक्ति है कि भारत के लोकतंत्र या लोकतांत्रिक प्रक्रिया को चूर-चूर कर सकता है, या प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी इतने कमजोर हैं कि वो एक व्यक्ति के कारण से पदच्युत हो सकते हैं, या आपको लगता है कि उस व्यक्ति के साथ वैसी पूरी ताकतें खड़ी है जो बीजेपी या प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी के खिलाफ है?
मैं दोबारा रविंद्र जी, क्योंकि आपका विस्तार से विश्लेषण आपने किया है, 2-3 चीजें आपके सम्मुख रखना चाहूंगी बड़ी विनम्रता से। उन्होंने एक फंड का ऐलान किया $1 बिलियन का, जो वो हिंदुस्तान में और जहां जहां हिंदुस्तान के इंटरेस्ट है वहां पर संचारित करेंगे ताकि हिंदुस्तान को ठेस पहुंचे। उन्होंने, मैंने पहले भी पत्रकार मित्र से यहां कहा, मोदी की इमेज पर वार पहली बार नहीं हुआ है। हिंदुस्तान के लोकतांत्रिक ढांचे पर वार का ऐलान उन्होंने पहली बार किया है जॉर्ज सोरोस ने। इन दोनों के बीच का फर्क समझना जरूरी है। और मैं पुनः कहती हूं, भाजपाई हूं इसलिए नहीं, हिंदुस्तानी हूं इसलिए कि एक विषय है जिस पर किसी भी राजनीतिक दल का किसी और राजनीतिक दल के साथ मतभेद नहीं हो सकता, क्योंकि ये आक्रमण, दिस वॉर इज ट्राइंग टू बी माउंटेड अगेंस्ट इंडिया, एंड व्हाट स्टैंड्स बिटवीन दैट वॉर एंड आवर कंट्रीज इंटरेस्ट्स इज प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी।
प्रशांत न्यूज 24, उसके बाद यतीन्द्र जी और संजय शर्मा। ये अंतिम प्रश्न होगा, 3 ही
जी।
जॉर्ज सोरोस कौन है, उसके बारे में बता दीजिए। और दूसरी बात, जिस तरह की गंभीर बातें उन्होंने की है, आपको लगता है कोई कानूनी एक्शन भी उन पर होना चाहिए?
मैं इतना ही कहूंगी कि क्योंकि मैं किसी एजेंसी की प्रतिनिधि नहीं हूं, इसलिए एजेंसीज की ओर से नहीं कहना चाहूंगी। लेकिन हाँ, निश्चित रूप से जब हिंदुस्तान की सॉवरेन राइट्स के ऊपर कोई प्रहार करने का प्रयास करता है तो जो अधिकृत संस्थाएं हैं वो निश्चित रूप से कार्रवाई करती हैं।
यतीन्द्र टीवी 18।
मैं इतना ही कहूंगी कि जिन जिन को वो पैसा पहुंचाते हैं, ये उनके लिए संदेश है कि आप चाहे इन इरादों के साथ वो पैसा प्राप्त करते हो कि आप हिंदुस्तान को कमजोर कर देंगे, लेकिन हिंदुस्तान नरेंद्र मोदी के नेतृत्व में ना कमजोर होगा ना झुकेगा, बल्कि आगे ही बढ़ता जाएगा।
अंतिम प्रश्न है लोकमत से संजय शर्मा।
मैं इतना ही कहूंगी, ये सारे विषय तब उभरे जब हिंदुस्तान विश्व की पांचवी सबसे बड़ी लोकतांत्रिक और आर्थिक ताकत बनकर उभरी। और मुझे लगता है कि हाल में, दोबारा कहती हूँ, चाहे वो राष्ट्रपति अमेरिका के हों, चाहे वो यूके के प्रधानमंत्री हों, चाहे वो राष्ट्रपति फ्रांस हों, उन्होंने हिंदुस्तान और प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी की जो सराहना की कि उनके देशों में आज आर्थिक व्यवस्था को हिंदुस्तान के साथ समन्वय में हम लोग एक सृजन देख रहे हैं, एक नए भारत के निर्माण को देख रहे हैं। उस सराहना के बाद तिलमिलाहट जो है वो जॉर्ज सोरोस के इस एक स्टेटमेंट से सामने आती है। जॉर्ज सोरोस जैसे व्यक्ति चाहते हैं कि एक कमजोर देश हो, जिसमें कमजोर सरकार हो, जो उनके दिशा निर्देश अनुसार चले। ये नया हिंदुस्तान है, कमजोर नहीं है।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
धन्यवाद।
All right, so Union Minister Smriti Irani just concluding that news briefing as BJP comes down heavily on George Soros. Smriti Irani there saying that people like George Soros who want a weaker India, who want to attack the democracy in India and are purposely targeting Prime Minister Modi and the Indian government by stoking this controversy and making statements to this effect. It is a sensational controversy that has now erupted with BJP, I beg your pardon, coming on heavily on George Soros, who, remember, had said that Modi will have to answer in Parliament. He had meddled and brought up the Adani issue. And Smriti Irani now saying that it is absolutely none of his business, and this is George Soros, who is purposely trying to weaken India, is targeting Narendra Modi and the Indian government, and this is none of his business to speak in matters of India. It is an onslaught on economy by Soros, is the statement that was made by Union Minister Smriti Irani. As a heavy political fight has broken out, we've seen how the opposition has been questioning the centre and bringing in the Adani controversy, saying that the issue must be debated in the parliament. And then Hungarian-American billionaire George Soros, who accused Prime Minister Modi of crony capitalism after claiming that he had a good relationship with Gautam Adani, also saying that he must bring this issue up in the parliament and must speak on it. Here is the BJP outrightly slamming George Soros, saying that he should not speak in matters of India and he needs to keep out of it. Let's listen into that statement coming in from Smriti Irani once again.
The man who broke the Bank of England, a man who is known and designated so by a nation as an economic war criminal, has now pronounced his desire to break the Indian democracy. As you all know, George Soros, an international entrepreneur who hedges bets against many countries, has now declared his ill intentions to intervene in the democratic processes of India. That George Soros wants a government which is pliable to his needs is more than evident from his statements. That he has pronounced funding of over $1 billion, particularly to target leaders like Prime Minister Modi, is significant. The man who broke the bank.
All right, so you just heard that statement from Smriti Irani once again, where the BJP is hitting out at George Soros as they say that this is George Soros who wants to gain with attacking India. It is a clear design to weaken Indian democracy, and the BJP is not going to take this lying down. They will fight this to the core. Rashid Alvi from the Congress is now with us on the phone line. Rashid Alvi, your response to how the BJP is reacting, slamming George Soros, saying that this is a clear attack on India and this is not acceptable.
You know, nobody in the whole of world can weak our democracy. Only our own people, our own government can do it. Important question is, forget George. Members of parliament, all opposition, they wanted to discuss this issue in the parliament. Why this government is silent? They didn't allow. Entire opposition has been demanding that there should be some joint parliamentary committee should be constituted. Why government is against it? Forget what George is saying. Important thing is what is happening here in this country. Why a government is not coming out to investigate it? Matter should be investigated. Prime Minister can say, Prime Minister has spoken more than 1 hour in the parliament, but didn't answer even one of the questions raised by the opposition parties. What is this? People will definitely, all over the world, people will raise such kind of questions. That's why our government is silent. It means...
But Rashid Alvi, we need to understand that it is the job of the opposition to be critical of the government and vice versa for the centre to really answer on it. This is a separate issue. This is about outside forces, external forces commenting on matters of India. And what is their standing really? Why is it that they are meddling in our issues? Fair enough that the opposition has been demanding a debate on this and the centre has been putting out its position, and that can continue to be spoken about. But who is George Soros to speak on what is happening in India?
It is all right. If Prime Minister and our government is silent and entire opposition is demanding, so definitely the other people will also raise questions, whether it is George or someone else. This world is very small now. Everybody knows happenings in any corner of the world. So if he has raised this question, why, if government would have come out to constitute JPC, or Prime Minister would have come out to answer the questions raised by the opposition, then I am sure Mr. George or anybody else would have not raised this question. Why he is speaking? He is speaking because he knows that Prime Minister is silent.
Right. All right, we may have lost that audio line with Rashid Alvi, but really the opposition very clear in its position of how they want a debate and a discussion on the Adani controversy, which of course the centre has said that they will not discuss what happens with one businessman, and external forces, an American-Hungarian businessman, billionaire like George Soros, who speaks on matters in India, which the BJP has come down upon heavily, slamming the likes of George Soros, saying that this is a clear attempt, an attack on India, and purposely designed to weaken our democracy, which the BJP is not going to accept. Let's listen into that full statement from Union Minister Smriti Irani.
The man who broke the Bank of England, a man who is known and designated so by a nation as an economic war criminal, has now pronounced his desire to break the Indian democracy. As you all know, George Soros, an international entrepreneur who hedges bets against many countries, has now declared his ill intentions to intervene in the democratic processes of India. That George Soros wants a government which is pliable to his needs is more than evident from his statements. That he has pronounced funding of over $1 billion, particularly to target leaders like Prime Minister Modi, is significant. As a Karyakarta of the Bharatiya Janata Party, this is an appeal to every Indian citizen. Every 5 years, we all democratically elect a government to serve the needs and aspirations of India. We as a nation state, during COVID, became the pharmacy to the world. We as a nation state are witness how Prime Minister Modi has ensured food security for 800 million Indians. We as a nation state are witness to the Amrit Kal budget, which has the highest allocation for defense. We as a nation state are, together with Prime Minister Modi, laying the foundation for the future of our country that will not only inherit our dreams, but a resilient and stronger economy. It is to be highlighted that when India rose to the 5th largest economy of the world, when the President of the United States of America, the Prime Minister of England, the President of France, publicly extended gratitude to the Indian Prime Minister and India for enabling employment not only in India but also these 3 designated nations. Such is a time where the imperialistic intentions of an entrepreneur come to light. Today, as a citizen, I call upon every individual and organization, societal or political, to denounce the intention of this individual who seeks to demonize our democracy, weaken our democratic interests, and who brings an onslaught to the economy of India, all so that he can personally gain. Those who Mr. Soros finds pliable need to know that India has defeated imperialistic designs before and shall do so again. Those who support Mr. Soros need to know that democracy has prevailed in India and will continue to do so, and particularly as a Karyakarta of the Bharatiya Janata Party, these designs to weaken Indian democracy will be met with the might of India under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
All right, MR Venkatesh is now with us on the phone line. MR, your response to how the BJP is now coming down heavily on Soros, because let's understand that this is a man who has pledged $1 billion to take on nationalists, including Prime Minister Modi. He is a man who's time and again shown desperation to wage war against the nationalist government in India through various networks and funding that comprises of NGOs, media, etc. And this is the BJP pointing out that his motive in bringing in the Adani controversy is very, very clear. MR, can you hear me? All right, not too sure if MR Venkatesh can hear me, but we are trying to get more voices as BJP just concluded that news conference that was led by Union Minister Smriti Irani, where the BJP has come down heavily on George Soros because he is the man who has pledged to take on nationalists, including Prime Minister Modi, and that is exactly what the BJP is pointing out, that he has a hidden motive when he brings in the Adani controversy, because he is wanting to weaken the Indian democracy and attacking India, and they are not going to tolerate this onslaught. Those with Soros will stand exposed. In fact, we'll also try and put out details of how the Congress is distancing itself from George Soros. But before that, I believe MR Venkatesh is back with us on the broadcast. MR, if you can hear me, I was just speaking to you about George Soros, the man who has pledged $1 billion to take on nationalists like Prime Minister Modi, and he's primarily been waging war against the Indian government by funding through various networks, be it NGOs or media or several other platforms. And BJP clearly calling him out, saying that he has a motive when he brings in the Adani controversy to clearly and purely attack the Indian government and Prime Minister Modi.
See, I have always suspected this gentleman of trying to dabble in all democracies, upset them and try to fish in troubled waters. That has been his USP, or what you call as a standard operating practice. Now, this gentleman probably is also funding Hindenburg. This gentleman has got enormous links with the Indian media, Indian intelligentsia, political parties, then a lot of professors in IIMs. These are the people who are then parroting the same language, then they become a cabal, then they go out and hunt in packs. I think it is time for BJP also to see, wake up and smell coffee about how the plan is being made on a systematic basis and being attacked. What they are attacking is not only Mr. Modi, they are attacking the financial institutions, they are questioning the integrity of various institutions, the constitutional functionaries, and they are also questioning about the way in which the democracy functions and flowers in this country. I think the government of the day must use all that it takes under the law to put these type of things and nip it in the bud. And the tentacles here in India, in the form of several political parties, mainstream media, social media influencers, all these must be singled out, and BJP must take the lead in ensuring then that they are neutralized forces.
Right, MR, I want to thank you for speaking to us this afternoon, because we are also now putting out a Congress reaction that is coming in. Jairam Ramesh, who has put out a tweet to that effect that reads, and I quote, "Whether the Prime Minister linked Adani scam sparks a democratic revival in India depends entirely on the Congress, opposition parties and our electoral process. It has nothing to do with George Soros. Our Nehruvian legacy ensures people like Soros cannot determine our electoral outcome." So this is the Congress that is clearly distancing itself from Soros at a time when Soros also takes the same line as the opposition. The Congress rubbishing Soros, saying that he has no business to interfere in matters of India. Savio Rodriguez is also with us on the phone line. Savio, well, whatever the fight between the opposition and the centre be, which will always be when they raise issues and are critical of the government, that is a separate matter. But together we stand united against external forces like Soros, who think that they can bring up matters in India and gain momentum themselves, which is an attempt that the BJP is clearly defeating. And not only is the BJP calling him out, but Congress also distancing themselves from Soros.
Well, let's be absolutely clear on George Soros. George Soros is an economic terrorist. George Soros has been eyeing the Indian government under the leadership of Narendra Modi from 2014. In fact, he made his declaration towards turning his focus in India at the Davos in 2020, where he raised the issue post the abrogation of Article 370 and how he was going to set up a $1 billion US fund to work against and tackle the spread of nationalism in his speech. Now, George Soros is not somebody that you take lightly, because if you go by a Stanford case study that they had done way back in 1993, it is a story that spoke about the man who moves market. It talks about an investor whose manipulation of the press is matched only his ability to manipulate his financial empire. The whole idea of a person like George Soros is about working towards destabilizing India under the leadership of Narendra Modi. He has made his intent extremely clear at Davos. It is not surprising what he's saying today. He is only reiterating his focus. George Soros has absolutely no business in anything to do with Indian corporates or Indian corporate political relationships, but George Soros has decided to poke his nose in the Adani issue. Why? Because he will use his connections with the media. And trust me when I say this, that George Soros' Open Society Foundation is working with many organizations in India, some media companies as well, to ensure that the intent of the Narendra Modi government, the intent of a progressing India, is destabilized, because that is what people like George Soros want. They want to destabilize India. Today, the entire country ran into a discussion because of an Hindenburg report. But what is the nature of Hindenburg? The nature of Hindenburg is of a short seller. Had invested interest in the entire attack on the Adani group. It is for the Indian authority to decide whether the Adani group has created any sort of misgivings as far as their operations in India is concerned or internationally. But the entire media went after Adani.
Absolutely. Savio, let me also bring in Ratan Sharda, who's with us on the phone line. Because Ratan Sharda, it's really the likes of George Soros who look for opportunities like these where they can just jump in and create a further divide. And this is exactly what this man is intending to do, which the BJP is calling out clearly. And at a time when the opposition can easily take his line, also distance themselves from Soros, making it amply clear that in this we stand united. And it is none of George Soros' business to interfere in matters of India. Whatever needs to happen or whatever needs to be discussed is our matter, and he needs to stay out of it.
See, I would not just get incensed by what George Soros said today, because George Soros has been using such language against many democratic countries. He is basically a bedrock of support for all the new left anarchic forces in the world. Many do not know that the Equality Lab, which has been able to create a caste narrative in America, which claims that actually racism has the base of casteism, that is why racism is existing, so absolving all the whites of racism, is also supported by him. You have seen many anti-Indian forces. You open the investigation. Every Indian force has some Soros Foundation financing. So this is another step where he has come out openly. The only mistake he has made is he has personally come out openly. It shows his desperation to somehow finish off Modi's political legacy and to create anarchy, which is his job across the world. So I am not surprised, but we have to look that this person has been, and who knows that even in case of Adani, he may be one of the investors who was involved in short selling. We don't know, because he has deep inroads into every kind of shady, financial empire and also into various political wheeling dealing. So we have to be careful about that. This has exposed. I am very thankful that Congress for once has shown some wisdom and not falling for the bait that they have generally fallen for. So I hope other opposition leaders will realize that this particular interference is not about Modi. It's about India. So if we want India to grow, we want to keep anti-Modism away from anti-Indian feelings, then they have to be conscious that how our forces outside India are trying to destabilize India.
Yes, absolutely. Ratan Sharda, I want to thank you for speaking to us this afternoon, and for all our guests who took out the time to really speak on this matter. But this is the BJP hitting out at George Soros, saying that he should not intervene in matters of India, and his motive in stoking the Adani controversy is very, very clear, because he is trying to attack the Indian democracy, and this is unacceptable. On that note, we slip into a very short commercial break. On the other side, we also get you details, as it is a big setback to Uddhav camp. Supreme Court has declined referring the matter to a larger bench. Also, suspected smugglers have been abducted, tortured and burnt alive in Haryana, Owaisi alleges cow vigilantism.
QS and THE, the world's foremost university rankings organizations, have ranked Amity amongst the top 3% universities globally, making it among the very few Indian universities to be included in both rankings. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है। ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था, 2.5 people, and I was complete one of them.
अच्छा सर।
जो भी इवेंचुअलिटीज हो सकती थी, वो तमाम कॉन्टीजेंसीज को कैटर किया गया था, उनके बारे में प्लानिंग की गई थी, तैयारी की गई थी। आपको नहीं मालूम था, पाकिस्तान को नहीं मालूम था, किसी को नहीं मालूम था क्या होने वाला है। सीक्रेसी को मेंटेन रखते हुए कैसे इस पूरे चीज की तैयारी की गई और किसी को पता भी नहीं चला ये कदम गवर्नमेंट उठाने वाली है।
कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए, आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर GOC 15 कोर? हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए, और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसी वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019 जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार के। उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था, और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई। लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बिछ जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया। एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी।
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है। ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था, 2.5 people, and I was complete one of them.
अच्छा सर।
जो भी इवेंचुअलिटीज हो सकती थी, वो तमाम कॉन्टीजेंसीज को कैटर किया गया था, उनके बारे में प्लानिंग की गई थी, तैयारी की गई थी। आपको नहीं मालूम था, पाकिस्तान को नहीं मालूम था, किसी को नहीं मालूम था क्या होने वाला है। सीक्रेसी को मेंटेन रखते हुए कैसे इस पूरे चीज की तैयारी की गई और किसी को पता भी नहीं चला ये कदम गवर्नमेंट उठाने वाली है।
कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए, आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर GOC?
Border Security Force has exposed another nefarious plan of Pakistan, that how Pakistan is smuggling narcotics into the Indian territory. After failed attempts of pushing narcotics via drone into the Indian territory, now the Pakistan is using helium and hydrogen balloons to smuggle the narcotics into the Indian territory. The recent incident came into fore in the Gurdaspur sector of the Amritsar rural, where 2.1 kilogram of heroin has been recovered by the BSF, and during investigation it came into fore that it came into the Indian territory with the help of 4 helium or hydrogen balloons that were used to give it a height, and then the smugglers here were to pick up the consignment. However, due to the timely action by the Border Security Force, the plan of Pakistan was foiled and the heroin that was sent from across the border worth more than 10 crore rupees was seized by the Border Security Force. This shows that how desperate Pakistan is to push weapons and narcotics into the Indian territory at any cost. With Gaurav Sahani, Gursimran Singh for Republic Media Network.
On that note, we slip into a short commercial break. On the other side, we get you details. There's not a single word on Ramcharitmanas burning. Samajwadi Party suspends 2 leaders who opposed SP Maurya. And days after anti-India graffiti on a Hindu temple in Canada, there is condemnation coming in on Hindu phobia.
कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए, अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं. आप बताइए आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर जीओसी 15 कोर हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसी वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019 जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार के. उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई. लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बिछ जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया. एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी.
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा. उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है. ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था, 2.5 people, एंड आई वाज कंप्लीट वन ऑफ देम.
अच्छा सर.
जो भी इवेंचुअलिटीज हो सकती थी वो तमाम कॉन्टीजेंसीज को कैटर किया गया था, उनके बारे में प्लानिंग की गई थी, तैयारी की गई थी. आपको नहीं मालूम था, पाकिस्तान को नहीं मालूम था, किसी को नहीं मालूम था क्या होने वाला है. सीक्रेसी को मेंटेन रखते हुए कैसे इस पूरे चीज की तैयारी की गई और किसी को पता भी नहीं चला कि ये कदम गवर्नमेंट उठाने वाली है.
कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए, अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं. आप बताइए आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर जीओसी 15 कोर हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसी वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019 जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार के. उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई. लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बिछ जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया. एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी.
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा. उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है. ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था, 2.5 people, एंड आई वाज कंप्लीट वन ऑफ देम.
अच्छा सर.
जो भी इवेंचुअलिटीज हो सकती थी वो तमाम कॉन्टीजेंसीज को कैटर किया गया था, उनके बारे में प्लानिंग की गई थी, तैयारी की गई थी. आपको नहीं मालूम था, पाकिस्तान को नहीं मालूम था, किसी को नहीं मालूम था क्या होने वाला है. सीक्रेसी को मेंटेन रखते हुए कैसे इस पूरे चीज की तैयारी की गई और किसी को पता भी नहीं चला कि ये
Viewers, we are live and breaking. I'm Shivangi Shukla and you're watching Republic TV, India's #1 news channel this Friday afternoon. We'll get you all the updates, but first the headlines we're tracking right now.
Modi is silent on the subject, but he will have to answer questions from foreign investors and in Parliament.
George Soros targets Prime Minister and India. Is the Adani issue the biggest giveaway yet?
These designs to weaken Indian democracy will be met with the might of India under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
BJP launches an all-out attack against Soros, calls out a deliberate attempt to meddle with Indian democracy. And Vadra Congress rushes to distance itself, says Soros cannot determine political outcomes. Republic's unrelenting coverage forces action after 8 days. Murder charge added to the FIR now. Setback to Uddhav camp, Supreme Court declines referring matter to larger bench. Suspected smugglers abducted, tortured and burnt alive in Haryana. OAC alleges cow vigilantism. Viewers, let's go ahead to the top story tracking right now. George Soros, a businessman, has jumped into the Adani issue. He says that the Adani issue will be reviving democracy in India. Now, getting some breaking news coming in on that. Congress has now used Soros' word to target the government. Congress leader Jairam Ramesh tweets in a quote here: whether the PM-linked Adani scam sparks a democratic revival in India depends entirely on the Congress, opposition parties and our electoral process. It has nothing to do with George Soros. Our Nehruvian legacy ensures people like Soros cannot determine our electoral outcomes. Going straight to our executive editor, politics, Shaurya. Before we go to Shaurya, let's go ahead and in fact play out exactly what George Soros has said. Let's go ahead and play out his statement.
And business tycoon Adani are close allies. Their fate is intertwined. Adani Enterprises tried to raise funds in the stock market but failed. Adani is accused of stock manipulation and his stock collapsed like a house of cards. Modi is silent on the subject, but he will have to answer questions from foreign investors and in Parliament.
All right, viewers, so right now we're seeing, you heard that entire statement where George Soros, billionaire, anti-nationalism mascot George Soros has waded into the Adani Hindenburg row. And a short while back, we also saw that Smriti Irani had spoken. She has called Soros's remark a declaration to destroy India's democratic processes. Let's play out what the BJP has said.
The man who broke the Bank of England, a man who is known and designated so by a nation as an economic war criminal, has now pronounced his desire to break the Indian democracy. As you all know, George Soros, an international entrepreneur who hedges bets against many countries, has now declared his ill intentions to intervene in the democratic processes of India. That George Soros wants a government which is pliable to his needs is more than evident from his statements. That he has pronounced funding of over $1 billion, particularly to target leaders like Prime Minister Modi, is significant. As a Karyakarta of the Bharatiya Janata Party, this is an appeal to every Indian citizen. Every 5 years, we all democratically elect a government to serve the needs and aspirations of India. We as a nation state, during COVID, became the pharmacy to the world. We as a nation state are witness how Prime Minister Modi has ensured food security for 800 million Indians. We as a nation state are witness to the Amrit Kal budget, which has the highest allocation for defense. We as a nation state are, together with Prime Minister Modi, laying the foundation for the future of our country that will not only inherit our dreams, but a resilient and stronger economy. It is to be highlighted that when India rose to the 5th largest economy of the world, when the President of the United States of America, the Prime Minister of England, the President of France, publicly extended gratitude to the Indian Prime Minister and India for enabling employment not only in India, but also these 3 designated nations. Such is a time where the imperialistic intentions of an entrepreneur come to light. Today, as a citizen, I call upon every individual and organization, societal or political, to denounce the intention of this individual who seeks to demonize our democracy, weaken our democratic interests, and who brings an onslaught to the economy of India, all so that he can personally gain. Those who Mr. Soros finds pliable need to know that India has defeated imperialistic designs before and shall do so again. Those who support Mr. Soros need to know that democracy has prevailed in India and will continue to do so, and particularly as a Karyakarta of the Bharatiya Janata Party, these designs to weaken Indian democracy will be met with the might of India under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
All right, viewers, we saw that reaction coming from the BJP, with the BJP Smriti Irani. She just heard, she had addressed a press conference saying a couple of things. Remember that she said that it has, in fact, she has said that it's the declaration is to destroy India's democratic processes. She said Indians have defeated such foreign powers who try to meddle with our internal affairs earlier as well. We'll do it again. That is the comment coming in from the BJP. Also, we're getting more reactions coming in from the BJP. Let's play out what BJP's Manjinder Singh Sirsa had to say.
जॉर्ज सोरस, जिसको अक्सर कहा जाता द मैन हु ब्रोक द बैंक ऑफ इंग्लैंड, जिस आदमी ने अपने पैसे की लालसा में एक मुल्क की करेंसी तक को नीचे ला दिया, ऐसे आदमी ने अब भारत के ऊपर हमला किया है। जॉर्ज सोरोस का यह कहना कि मैं मोदी को झुकाकर छोड़ूंगा, कि लोकतंत्र में चुनी हुई एक सरकार को चोट पहुंचाने के बराबर है। यह विरोध मोदी का नहीं, यह विरोध हमारे देश के प्रधानमंत्री का नहीं, यह विरोध या झुकाने की बात हमारे देश के प्रधानमंत्री मोदी की नहीं, बल्कि हमारे लोकतंत्र ढांचे को हिलाने की बात है। कोई ये कहे कि वो $1 बिलियन यहां पर खर्च करेगा और भारत की अर्थव्यवस्था जो उसके इशारों पर चलेगी, ये कतई संभव नहीं हो सकता। हम भारतीय होने के नाते ये महसूस करते हैं कि किसी बाहर के इंसान की इतनी जरूरत नहीं हो सकती कि वो भारत को झुका पाए, भारत की अर्थव्यवस्था के ऊपर चोट पहुंचा पाए, भारत की डेमोक्रेसी चुनी हुई सरकार को हिला पाए या चुने हुए प्रधानमंत्री को झुका पाए। हम सब भारतवासी इसका कड़े शब्दों में विरोध करते हैं और जो पार्टियां, कोई इंस्टीट्यूशन, कोई लोग जो इसका साथ देने की बात करते हैं, जो आज मन मन में मुस्कुरा रहे हैं, मैं उनको ये याद करना चाहता हूं, ये हमला देश के प्रधानमंत्री मोदी पर नहीं, बल्कि हमारी डेमोक्रेसी के ऊपर हमला, हमारे भारत के ऊपर हमला, हमारे अस्तित्व के ऊपर हमला है, जो किसी सूरत में किसी को भी बर्दाश्त नहीं करना चाहिए। हम सभी भारतवासियों को एकजुट होकर एक आवाज, एक सुर में ये कहना चाहिए, हम ऐसे जॉर्ज सोरोस को कतई अपने इन इरादों में कामयाब नहीं होने देंगे।
All right, let's go straight across to BJP spokesperson Shehzad Poonawalla is joining us on the phone line right now. A very good afternoon to you, Shehzad. And your first reaction coming in after we see this comment coming in from George Soros jumping into the Adani issue. We're also seeing that the Congress is, very interestingly trying to distance itself from Soros.
I would have really liked if you would have opened up the tweet that I've just put out. Because Congress's attempt to distance itself, and because Jairam Ramesh loves movie titles, he says, "Hum aapke icon." I gave him a new movie title called "Hum Saath Saath Hai." And this "Hum Saath Saath Hai" is evidence from the fact that Praveen Chakravarti, the Congress party leader, close leader Rahul Gandhi, is openly spreading the propaganda of George Soros. And therefore, Jairam Ramesh's belated attempt to distance himself does not cut any ice, because the Congress party is actually the vector of George Soros' imperialistic agenda to demonize and to destabilize India's democracy, and part of his malintent and his entire agenda to target the country only because they want to target one individual called Narendra Damodar Das Modi. And therefore, we have seen in the past too, George Soros has funded billions of dollars to push and peddle narratives against India in the name of philanthropic work. Part of it has been exposed by the Republic Network, particularly by Uddhav. But today you have an open disclosure, which I say चोरी चोरी चुपके चुपके बात नहीं रही, अब तो खुले में आ चुकी है सारी बातें, पर्दा उठ चुका है। पर जयराम रमेश जी, मेरा सवाल आपसे ये है कि हम साथ साथ है पर से भी पर्दा उठ चुका है। If Praveen Chakravarti is not articulating the party line, which you are articulating, then please sack him. Or else, please come out in the open and say that you are nothing but a special purpose vehicle of George Soros' intentions to demonize and destabilize Indian democracy merely because you hate one man, you abuse the institutions of this country, you abuse the democracy of this country, you abuse the electoral process and the people of this country. That is your real agenda. You're a vector. You're a special purpose vehicle of George Soros.
Right. Well, thank you, Shehzad, for joining us here. Shehzad Poonawalla, BJP national spokesperson, for joining us here as we continue our coverage on this statement which has come from George Soros. Now, George Soros is a billionaire. He's a businessman, but he's also an anti-nationalism mascot, and the kind of comment which is coming from him is that he is saying that Modi is silent on the subject. We're talking about the Adani issue here, but he will have to answer questions from foreign investors and in parliament. This will significantly weaken Modi's stronghold in India's federal government and open the door to push for much needed institutional reform. So that's a comment which has come in from George Soros. We are tracking the story very closely as we get more reactions coming in. For now, let's have a look at what else is making news from across India. Republic has now accessed a partial FIR copy in murder case of Lance Naik Prabhu. The Tamil Nadu police has added murder charges to the FIR. Multiple sections slapped against accused after a public expose. FIR has been launched against the accused under Section 302, 307, 147, 148, 294B, 323 and 324. The police officials also conducted a recreation of the crime scene as part of the further investigation. Supreme Court's Constitution Bench said it will decide later on referring the cases related to the Maharashtra political crisis to a larger 7-bench for reconsideration on a 2016 Nabam Rabia judgment on powers of the Assembly speakers to deal with their disqualification pleas. It posted the next hearing of Maharashtra political crisis cases to February 21st. A 5-judge bench of Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud and Justice M.R. Shah, Justice Krishna Murari, Justice Hema Kohli and others said the issue of reconsideration of the Nabam Rabia case to the larger bench will be decided during the hearing of the case on merit.
Adani are close allies. Their fate is intertwined. Adani Enterprises tried to raise funds in the stock market but failed. He is accused of stock manipulation and his stock collapsed like a house of cards. Modi is silent on the subject, but he will have to answer questions from foreign investors and in Parliament.
BJP declares war against George Soros. In a press conference, BJP leader Smriti Irani takes on Soros and said that India will answer back. Back George Soros. She further added that Soros is meddling with India's democracy and people like Soros want to weaken India. With assembly elections in Karnataka around the corner, Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai presented his government's last budget today, stating that this would be a pro-people budget. Bommai said that within 2 years, in the next 2 years, comprehensive development and renovation of various temples and mutts will be done at a cost of around 1,000 crore rupees. At least 3 people, including a minor, were killed and 6 others injured in a road mishap in Assam. According to the police officials, 4-wheeler hit 1 motorcycle, 1 scooty and a bicycle. Police further added that the 6 people were injured and undergoing medical treatment. The Assam Revenue Minister visited the site of Chowk Bazaar area in Jorhat town, where a massive fire broke out, and took stock of the situation. The minister also directed the district administration to investigate to find out the actual cause of the fire. 4 people were killed when gas tanker collided with a truck on the national highway in Ajmer district. According to police officials, both vehicles caught fire after the collision, leading to the scorching of 4 people alive. Viewers, Republic spoke to President of Krishnagiri Ex-Serviceman Association. Meanwhile, Republic has also accessed the partial FIR copy in murder case of Lance Naik Prabhu and added murder charges to the FIR. Multiple sections slapped against the accused after Republic expose. FIR lodged against accused under various sections, and that's exactly what is happening right now. The crime scene is being recreated. It's a big Republic impact that the Tamil Nadu police have added the murder charge in the FIR registered in connection with the Army Jawan Lance Naik Prabhu murder case. The FIR has been filed on the complaint of the deceased soldier's brother, an eyewitness of Prabhakar's confession. After 3 non-bailable sections have also been added to the FIR. And what we are seeing right now is that 8 days later, Now the crime scene is being recreated. First, the police dragged their feet to arrest the accused. Let's go ahead right now and see what our correspondents have been getting for us. In fact, our correspondents have been tracking every angle and getting you every exclusive. This is a report filed by my colleague Prajwal.
The police's hands tied up now because yes, we know that he's a DMK functionary, the DMK government is in power, and the chief minister is also the home minister of Tamil Nadu. So are their hands tied up? Are they not being allowed to perform their duties?
नहीं, हम किसी के ड्यूटी को हम ब्लेम नहीं करना चाहते हैं। वो ड्यूटी किया है नहीं किया है तो हम किसी को ब्लेम नहीं करना चाहते। क्यों, एक फौजी होने के नाते किसी पॉलिटिकल का अंदर घुस के ये पॉलिटिकल पार्टी ये किया नहीं वो नहीं किया, हम नहीं करना चाहते हैं वो बात। लेकिन उनको अपना फर्ज करना चाहिए था, अपना फर्ज को निभाना चाहिए था, वो नहीं निभाया है तो वो पूरा देश देख रहा है उसको। तो कौन कैसे है वो पूरा देश देख रहा है, तो हम किसी को ब्लेम नहीं करते हैं। बस ये मिनिस्टर आया नहीं, वो एमएलए नहीं आया, एमपी नहीं आया, हम नहीं करना चाहते हैं। वो उनको नेचर को इंडिकेट करता है, इसमें कैसे नेचर का आदमी लोग है वो इंडिकेट करता है। हम नहीं ब्लेम करना चाहते हैं, वो पूरा देश देख रहा है इसको। लेकिन वो करना चाहिए था, उनको आना चाहिए था। अभी आप लोगों को देखते हैं, मीडिया में देख रहे हैं, तो भाई रोड में क्या हो रहा है, सब उसी में बिजी हैं। तो फिर एक मामूली जवान मरने से उनको क्या हो गया उसमें।
So that was the ex-servicemen who were speaking to Republic there, going on and saying that it does not matter who visits the house of the deceased soldier or not, but their demand is quite clear that justice should be given to the family of the deceased, especially the widow of Lance Nayak Prabhu. She should be given a job, and also the education of their children should be taken care by the government. And all said and done now, at least will the DMK government go on to wake up, take some sort of action and make sure that this particular case is going to go on and reach a logical conclusion or not? That is something which has to be seen. With video journalist Bhagat, Prajwal Prasad reporting for Republic, Bengaluru.
All right, viewers, let's go straight to Prajwal, who's getting us every update on this story. And Prajwal, many developments happening today itself. Take our viewers through what's happening. We know the crime scene is being recreated after many days, 8 days. We also know that the veterans are protesting. They want justice. That's what they want. The country, in fact, is demanding justice for Lance Nayak.
Shivangi, now the officials have already left from the scene of crime where it had happened, in fact, and as of now there's nobody here at the scene too. And more of now, after the recreation happened, they have already left collecting all the detailed statements of some of the eyewitnesses to have been recorded, is what we get to understand. After which now what will be the next call of action, and how will they go ahead with the investigations is something that needs to be seen here. And right now I am outside the residence of Prabhu, where there is one lone police person who has been asked to provide security. He's been asked to provide security to the family members of Lance Nayak Prabhu, and the security will be given till Wednesday, is what sources in the know of this investigation are stating. And therefore, all said and done now, it is very crucial that the additional charges too have been added here, and mainly amongst which is section number 302, which is for murder, and section number 324, which we are speaking, shows that they have intentionally, on purpose, have caused hurt to the victim using weapons. So the word weapons was very important here. The use of weapons is now being taken into account by the cops, and also now we are seeing some family members of Prabhu who are seated outside the house as well, because the rituals, the last rites had already been conducted on the 14th, but all the rituals will end on Wednesday, and therefore all the family members are here, and ex-army servicemen coming here and also saying that they too will fight for justice along with the family of Prabhu. Over to you in the studio, Shivangi.
All right, thank you, Prajwal, for getting us all the details. Prajwal, keep us ahead on the story as the crime scene is being recreated. Well, viewers, let's see what else is making news from across the globe. The death toll from the earthquake in Turkey and northwestern Syria has gone past 42,000 as rescue efforts continue. Member of Parliament, House of Commons of Canada, Chandra Arya on Friday condemned the defacing of the Ram Mandir in fact with the anti-India graffiti and said that Hindu temples have become the target of hate crimes in Canada. Japan's H-3 next generation rocket was unable to lift off as scheduled today after the booster engines failed to ignite, according to sources. At liftoff time, smoke was seen arising from the bottom of the rocket, indicating the ignition of the main engine. However, the rocket did not rise from the launch pad. Viewers, much more coming up on the other side. We continue to be live and breaking. Setback to Uddhav camp, Supreme Court declines, referring matter to larger bench. Suspected smugglers abducted, tortured and burnt alive in Haryana. We see alleges cow vigilantism.
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है। ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था, 2.5 people, and I was complete one of them.
अच्छा सर।
जो भी इवेंचुअलिटीज हो सकती थी, वो तमाम कॉन्टीजेंसीज को कैटर किया गया था, उनके बारे में प्लानिंग की गई थी, तैयारी की गई थी। आपको नहीं मालूम था, पाकिस्तान को नहीं मालूम था, किसी को नहीं मालूम था क्या होने वाला है। सीक्रेसी को मेंटेन रखते हुए कैसे इस पूरे चीज की तैयारी की गई और किसी को पता भी नहीं चला कि ये कदम गवर्नमेंट उठाने वाली है।
कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए, आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर GOC 15 कोर? हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसी वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019 जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार के। उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई। लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बिछ जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया। एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी, हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी।
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है। ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था, 2.5 people, and I was complete one of them.
अच्छा सर।
जो भी इवेंचुअलिटीज हो सकती थी, वो तमाम कॉन्टीजेंसीज को कैटर किया गया था, उनके बारे में प्लानिंग की गई थी, तैयारी की गई थी। आपको नहीं मालूम था, पाकिस्तान को नहीं मालूम था, किसी को नहीं मालूम था क्या होने वाला है। सीक्रेसी को मेंटेन रखते हुए कैसे इस पूरे चीज की तैयारी की गई और किसी को पता भी नहीं चला कि ये कदम गवर्नमेंट उठाने वाली है।
कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए, आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर GOC 15 कोर? हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसी वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019 जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार के। उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई। लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बिछ जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया। एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी, हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी।
Modi is silent on the subject, but he will have to answer questions from foreign investors and in Parliament.
George Soros targets Prime Minister in India as the Adani issue the biggest giveaway yet.
These designs to weaken Indian democracy will be met with the might of India under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
BJP launches an all-out attack against Soros, calls out deliberate attempt to meddle with Indian democracy. And Vadra Congress rushes to distance self, says Soros cannot determine political outcomes. Republic's unrelenting coverage forces action after 8 days. Murder charge added to the FIR now. Sent back to Uddhav camp, Supreme Court declines referring matter to larger bench. Suspected smugglers abducted, tortured and burnt alive in Haryana. OAC alleges cow vigilantism. Viewers, we're live and breaking this Friday afternoon. I'm Shivangi Shukla, getting you the latest. 2 men were found charged to death in a car in Haryana's Bhiwani district after they were allegedly abducted from Bharatpur district in Rajasthan by men said to be cow vigilantes. Families of the deceased in their complaint to the police said the people who abducted them were from Bajrang Dal. However, a police officer said they are investigating whether it is a case of cow vigilantism or not. Police say that they were alerted by a villager about a burnt car. Police are investigating the possibility of the vehicle being driven to a place called Haru, some 200 kilometers from Bharatpur, and then it was set on fire. The superintendent of police, Shyam Singh, has said an FIR has been registered at Gopalgarh police station against 5 persons on a basis of a complaint lodged by the victim's family members. So viewers, getting this development coming in where 2 men were found charged to death in a car in Haryana's Bhiwani district. And let's go ahead and see what our colleague Anjali has got for us as she reports on this story.
तो इस वक्त मैं मौजूद हूं बरवास गांव में, जो कि लोहारू में ही मौजूद है। और ये मेरे पीछे आप ठीक देख पा रहे हैं, ये देखें किस तरह से ये जला हुआ पूरा एरिया है। यानी कि जो बोलेरो में आग लगाई गई थी, जो 2 नरकंकाल मिले थे, अब उसके यहाँ पर कुछ सबूत ही बचे हैं कि यहाँ पर किस तरह से आग लगाई गई थी। हालांकि दूसरी तरफ दिखाइए उज्जवल की ये घना जंगल है, चारों तरफ सिर्फ सन्नाटा है यहाँ पर। और हमारे साथ कुछ लोग मौजूद हैं जिन्होंने आते जाते इस जली हुई बोलेरो को देखा और इसके बाद क्या कुछ हुआ ये हम इन्हीं से ही जान लेते हैं। आपका नाम क्या है?
मेरा नाम अमित है।
अमित है, आपने कितने बजे इस बोलेरो को देखा?
बोलेरो को मैंने तो देखा था सुबह 7 बजे के आसपास, लेकिन उससे पहले मेरे फादर वॉकिंग के लिए जाते हैं यहाँ से 4 बजे के आसपास। उन्होंने देखा था, पहले जाके मेरे को बताया कि ऐसे ऐसे वहाँ गाड़ी जली हुई है। उसके बावजूद मैं और मेरा मोटरसाइकिल रखा है, वो देखने के लिए आए थे यहाँ। तो उन्होंने कंकाल वगैरह अंदर नहीं देखा। सुबह गाड़ी जली हुई देखी थी 4 बजे। सुबह 7:30 बजे आके हमने देखा है कि कंकाल है गाड़ी के अंदर। तो फिर हमने 112 पे कॉल करके पुलिस वालों को बुलाया। 112 वाले 15-20 मिनट में वो पहुंच गए थे।
15-20 मिनट में पहुंच गए थे। क्या आपको लगा, क्या आप यहाँ से कितनी दूर रहते हैं?
बस यहाँ से मेरा 500 मीटर पे ही है, 500 मीटर पे ही है दूरी पे। हाँ,
आपके साथ और भी लोग हैं मौजूद? आपने अपने इसके अलावा देखे? अच्छा, और हाँ, आप कुछ बताएंगे क्या आपने देखा था?
हाँ, हमने भी देखा है। सुबह आए कंकाल देखने के बाद में फोन किया है, हरियाणा पुलिस भी आई है, राजस्थान से भी आए, शाम को उनके परिजन भी आए हैं। जब ये पता चला है कि ये कहीं पीछे से मार के ले आए हुए थे और यहाँ सुनसान जगह देख के यहाँ जलाया गया, हमें ग्रामीणों का रोष ये है कि ये इतनी 300 किलोमीटर से लेकर हमारा ही गांव को टारगेट किया गया है। हम इसकी निष्पक्षता से जांच करवाना चाहते हैं। हाँ, ये क्या मामला है? ये इधर से उधर जोड़ के इसे बातें बता रहे हैं। कोई कहे हमारे यहाँ कोई गो तस्करी का मामला नहीं होता, हमारा साफ इलाका है। और यहाँ उस साइड से इतनी 300 किलोमीटर से दूर लाके हम ग्रामीण वाले ये चाहते हैं इसकी निष्पक्षता से जांच हो। और
अच्छा, ये बताइए यहाँ पे कितने लोगों की आबादी है? कुल कितने लोग यहाँ पर रहते हैं?
2200 की आबादी है हमारे गाँव की।
मतलब क्या इससे पहले भी कोई घटना हुई है क्या? ये मतलब घटना के लिए क्या अपराधियों के लिए कोई सेफ एरिया है क्या?
नहीं नहीं, ऐसी कोई वारदात हुई नहीं। हम तो खुद अचंभे में है कि हमारे गांव में ऐसी वारदात जो पहली बार हुई है, इसका रीजन क्या है। इसलिए तो हम चाहते हैं कि 300 किलोमीटर जो ये वारदात का टारगेट बता रहे हैं भरतपुर, वो यहाँ से 325 किलोमीटर दूरी पे है। वहां से और यहाँ के तार कैसे भिड़ रहे हैं, हम यही चाहते हैं कि निष्पक्ष जांच की जाए। हमारे गाँव का नाम भी बदनाम हो रहा है, इसको अभी क्लियर हो कि यहाँ किस पर्पज से पहुंचे हैं वो।
ये गाँव किसी रास्ते को जोड़ता है किसी दूसरे शहर?
ये बारवास से और जुप्पा रास्ते को जोड़ता है। कच्चा रास्ता है जुप्पा गाँव का, आगे गाँव में विलेज उसको उसको जोड़ता है,
गांव को जोड़ता है। लेकिन भरतपुर से कोई दूर दूर तक कोई
कनेक्शन नहीं है भरतपुर तक। यहाँ नाम ही पहली बार सुना है कि 325 किलोमीटर की दूरी, इतनी दूरी आता है करके पहुंचे हैं। तो क्या कुछ टारगेट था उनका?
कोई जो दल का नाम सामने आ रहा है, क्या किसी भी दल का कोई यहाँ पर रहता है?
देखो जी, हमारे यहाँ तो बजरंग दल वाला कोई सिस्टम है ही नहीं। किसी प्रकार का दल का नाम तब आए ना कि यहाँ कोई ऐसा मुकदमा पहले होता हो, कोई बजरंग दल में काम करता, कोई बजरंग दल का कोई मामला नहीं है। हमारे हिंदू मुस्लिम का कोई मैटर नहीं है यहाँ पे।
सब भाई प्रेम से रहते हैं, इसीलिए तो हमारे गांव वाले भयभीत हैं। ये कहीं बजरंग दल से जोड़ के बता रहे हैं, हमारे बजरंग दल से दूर दूर तक संबंध नहीं है, हमारे इलाके में नहीं है कोई मात्र।
क्या आपको जब ये देखे, क्योंकि घटना हुई, आप यहाँ से कितनी दूर रहते, क्या आपको कोई चीख पुकार, कोई भी आवाज यहाँ पर सुनाई?
नहीं, चीख पुकार तो मैडम ऐसा होना कि कोई जिंदा जलाए जाए तो चीख पुकार हो, ये तो सुनने में आया। उनका परिजन जो आए थे उन्होंने बताया कि पीछे से मार के लाए, खाली जलाए यहाँ पे, तो उन्होंने लाके आगे। चीख पुकार तो बहुत जिंदा जले। हम 300 मीटर ही दूर है यहाँ पे। हाँ, 300 मीटर ही दूरी पे है। कुछ नहीं, वो जलती दिखी थी गाड़ी एक बार कि वो वहाँ पे बकरियों का पाली रहता है एक, उसने देखी थी। वो भी उसने रात को बताया नहीं, हमने आगे सुबह देखा है तो सुबह जल चुकी थी, सारी खत्म थी।
रात में किसी ने जलती हुई गाड़ी देखी, लेकिन आपको सुबह पता चल पाया कि ऐसा कुछ हुआ?
हाँ, रात को उसने गाड़ी का अनुमान नहीं लगाया ना। शादी थी यहाँ पड़ोस में एक, शादी के चक्कर में उसने सोचा कि पटाखे वगैरह जो जल रहे हैं उनकी रोशनी होगी, वो भी यहाँ नहीं आया। उसको भी कन्फर्म नहीं था कि गाड़ी जल रही है। अगर ये कन्फर्म हो जाता कि गाड़ी जल रही तो हम रात को ही आ जाते।
तो आपने देखा, आपने सुना कि यहाँ पर जो लोग मौजूद हैं उनका क्या कहना है। आसपास ही लोग रहते हैं और बहुत ज्यादा आबादी नहीं है इस गांव में। आखिर क्यों इसी एरिया को चुना गया, क्यों इसी गांव को चुना गया? और आप देख पा रहे हैं ये भयावह मंजर की तस्वीरें कि किस तरह से यहाँ पर बोलेरो को आग लगाया गया था। हालांकि लोगों ने रात में देखा, लेकिन जरा भी अंदाजा लगा पाना मुश्किल था, क्योंकि बता रहे हैं कि आसपास पास में ही शादी हो रही थी, आतिशबाजी भी हो रही थी। तो ऐसे में सुबह ही पता चल पाया कि यहाँ पर इस तरह की वारदात को अंजाम दिया गया है। अब ये देखना होगा, क्योंकि पुलिस की जांच का विषय बना हुआ है कि गाड़ी में अचानक से आग अपने आप से लगी है या फिर इसके पीछे किसी का हाथ है। और जो नाम सामने आ रहे हैं उनके बारे में भी तफ्तीश से जांच की जाएगी। फिलहाल ये पूरा मामला अब राजस्थान भरतपुर पुलिस के पास होगा और वहां से क्या कुछ निकलकर सामने आता है, ये देखने वाली बात रहेगी।
Two men have been charged to death in Haryana's Bhiwani. Our colleague Anjali is getting us all those details. The family is alleging Bajrang Dal's role in this case, and this has happened in Rajasthan's Bharatpur district by men said to be cow vigilantes, and that's what OAC is alleging. Let's move ahead to other stories we're tracking right now, and a quick check in what's happening in the world of sport. The All India Football Federation mourns the demise of legendary former India forward Tulsidas Balaram, who passed away at 85 in Kolkata. And he was a prominent member of the golden generation of Indian football in the 1950s and the 1960s. Bengal's dreamer winning a Ranji Trophy after more than 3 decades suffered a setback as left-arm Saurashtra pace duo of Jaydev and Chetan have rattled the home team's top order to bundle them out for a paltry 174 on the opening day of the Summit Clash on Thursday. Bet Mooney got her batting back on track thanks to a mammoth partnership with Alyssa that has steered, in fact, Australia to a 10-wicket win over Sri Lanka in the Women's T20 World Cup. The 5-time champions suffocated Sri Lanka with spin to stop them from capitalizing on a fast start provided by skipper and Harshita's Samaravik Rama. The Khelo India National Ranking Women Weightlifting Tournament is for senior, junior and youth women is set to be held at the Patliputra Sports Complex in Patna from Feb 18 to 24th. The women's events are taking place under the Khelo India Sports for Women, component of the Government of India's flagship program. Star shuttlers PV Sindhu and HS Pranoy won their respective singles match as India made it to the quarterfinals of the Asia Mixed Team Badminton Championships, the group toppers after defeating Malaysia in Dubai on Thursday. Viewers, much more coming up on the other side as we continue to get you more updates. Coming up, Republic's unrelenting coverage forces action after 8 days. Murder charges added to FIR now. Sent back to Uddhav camp, Supreme Court declines referring matter to larger bench. Stay tuned.
कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर जीओसी 15 कोर हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसे वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019 जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार के। उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई। लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बह जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया। एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी।
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है, ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था, 2.5 people, and I was complete one of them.
अच्छा सर,
जो भी इवेंचुअलिटीज हो सकती थी वो तमाम कॉन्टीजेंसीज को केटर किया गया था, उनके बारे में प्लानिंग की गई थी, तैयारी की गई थी। आपको नहीं मालूम था, पाकिस्तान को नहीं मालूम था, किसी को नहीं मालूम था क्या होने वाला है। सीक्रेसी को मेंटेन रखते हुए कैसे इस पूरे चीज की तैयारी की गई और किसी को पता भी नहीं चला कि ये कदम गवर्नमेंट उठाने वाली है।
कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर जीओसी 15 कोर हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसे वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019 जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार के। उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई। लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बह जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया। एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी।
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था?
Viewers, D.K. Shivakumar has hit out at the Mumbai government's budget and assembly. He said, and I quote here, this is a voiceless budget, does not have anything for the people. Remember that Ram Mandir construction will be taken up as well, and this has been announced by Karnataka CM Basuraj Bommai during the budget presentation in the state assembly in Bengaluru. Let's have a look at what D.K. Shivakumar has said, hitting out at the Mumbai government's budget in assembly.
He doesn't have voice to the youth. He doesn't have voice to the women. A voiceless budget in my history of, I have finished 35 years of assembly. He doesn't have voice to the women. A voiceless budget in my history of, I have finished 35 years of assembly.
All right, let's go ahead to Prajwal is joining us live right now. Prajwal, let's take our viewers through exactly what D.K. Shivakumar is saying. He's saying that it's a voiceless budget, does not have anything for the people. That's what he's saying, Prajwal.
Yes, now the KPCC President DK Shivkumar has gone on to make these statements saying that this budget does not hold anything for the people of Karnataka. But on the other side, we are also seeing a massive push for infrastructure, which was announced by Chief Minister Baswaraj Bommai through his health projects, mainly now going on to grant 59 crores only for essential items to be procured in health. Aims like hospital, which will be built in Raichur, which will be a huge boost for the people of Karnataka, especially in the North Karnataka region and the Kalyana Karnataka region too. And also the Ram Mandir too will be built in Ramnagara in Karnataka, and 1,000 crore rupees has been sanctioned for the welfare and development of temples too.
All right, thank you, Prajwal, for getting us all the details there. Let's go ahead, viewers, and see what else is coming up on the other side as we continue getting you the top updates. Coming up, BJP launches an all-out attack against Soros, calls out deliberate attempt to meddle with Indian democracy. And Maharashtra Congress rushes to distance self, says Soros cannot determine political outcomes.
QS&THE, the world's foremost university rankings organizations, have ranked Amity amongst the top 3% universities globally, making it among the very few Indian universities to be included in both rankings. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है। ये कश्मीर में